Spotlight, the official podcast of Grapple. I'm Benno.
I'm JP.
And Matty is muted. Hey! It's Wembley week.
It's worked on me finally. What everyone's wanted to do. But yeah, and I'm Matty anyway.
There's AEW fans who only tune into us once a year, mate, who are like, can you keep that on mute? It's actually me that's going to be going off today, not you. You're in that, as we were just talking about in the pre-show, very AEW friendly mood, mate. You've dropped some coin, you know. You've got to get a big weekend coming. Got to get your money's worth. How are we feeling? Are we all excited, lads? Close to talk about today.
Big stadium.
Unbelievably.
Big stadium show, guys. No matter what the company is, it's a big event. Let's go for it. Let's have it, JP.
Doesn't it feel like it came a lot like slower last year? Like it was like maybe it was me and you making the YouTube videos, JP. It was just week on week kind of. Is it here yet? Is it here yet? A bit like Christmas type of situation. Whereas this year it's kind of just like, oh, it's here already. Okay.
I think we were saying that because when we were saying, is it here? I think that was the card. Because that turned up like 2 weeks beforehand, didn't it? It was like, oh, there's some fucking matches. And, you know, about fucking time. Whereas this time round, we knew the cards like sort of 6 weeks out. So in some ways, we've been spinning our heels since then. We've kind of generally known what the ticket sales are going to be. The TV for the last couple of weeks, I think you've described it best as like just functional kind of TV. Ticking boxes. So I am excited, particularly if they get this set up behind it, because those Swifties that I encountered on the way to the Arsenal game as well, and an absolute carnage getting across there as well. It's like, you just need to be borrowing this set from the back because it looks fucking great. Doesn't matter.
Did you see Joe went? Hopefully he won't be fuming at me for outing me. He probably won't listen. But I think he was there. I saw him in his Tay shirt at the time of life. Yeah. Most people he's going to see in that stadium, obviously. But it looked like a great time, to be fair. Setup looked good. 90,000 people there, strangely, Matty. You're
firing the shots, Ben, not me, mate. You go for it tonight. Machine guns out.
It's Taylor's country, though. That's it. AEW's got to follow the rules there. But yeah, it is weird that we're kind of here already this year. Like I say, I'm not really ready for it. I'm saying on the pre-show, I'm going down Thursday night. I think there's some media stuff going on Friday night. Again, while I'm firing shots, I'm not invited. But I'll be around. Might try and blind me way in, pretend I'm from Fightful or something like that. We'll see how it goes. But I think you aren't in town till what, Saturday morning, Matty? It's got the big drive up with the Solo Sikoa himself, the wheelman.
The wheelman was setting off between 6:30, 7 a.m. So we're
no, Tamatonga's the wheelman. Sorry. I forget it.
We're ready for that. Like, well, I'm preparing myself for that, and yeah, can't wait to get in that car, get the tunes on, JP, get the playlist going, get ready, mate. I just honestly can't wait, lads. Like, it's going to be such a good weekend.
It is. I'm going to be doing it as like a bit of a family trip as well, because the lads are going to be coming along to watch the live show and the Rev Pro show as well. Not for the beers afterwards. They'll be tucked up in bed in the hotel at that point in time. So all of that's there. So we're setting off like bright and early on Saturday morning to get ourselves down over to Stratford. But I'm very excited about the live show. That's I have to say, for like the thing for me, I'm like buzzing about that. Very, very excited. We have to announce we are going to be in Nico's bar. That's an important announcement. There is some refurbishment work, I think, in the original room we were going to be in. So we've been moved across to Nico's bar as well.
Still in Hackney Bridge, though, should be said.
Still Hackney Bridge
complex,
which I had a look at as well. It looks a cracking venue. You can't move for bars. It's insane. like loads and loads of places to go and have a drink and everything else. And I know when going down to Rev Pro for Summer Sizzler, I sort of took the walk down there as well. So it was lovely. Sun was out and everything else. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll be decent weather that day. So I'm really buzzing about that and about the live shows, of which you can get tickets. I should do the plug bit now. Tickets, we are up until Friday 5 p.m. That is the big note there. So if you haven't got them, you've got that limited period of time to get them there. So that's the cut-off date, and on before Rev Pro. So 1 p.m. doors, 2 p.m. start this Saturday.
looks like a cracking place in general, Hackney Bridge. There's so much going on, food and drink wise, and like I say, Nico's Bar is part of the overall complex. That's there. You're not going to find it hard to find it. Just look for the people knocking around in black wrestling t-shirts. It won't be difficult. A couple of grapple logos here and there. You'll find us. Garrett's going to be sending out some last minute instructions, but like JP said, right over the road from the Copperbox in Hackney Bridge, so you'll be able to.
I walked it.
Find us.
From that main, where the steps go up to the elevated bit to Hackney Bridge, less than a minute.
There we go.
Less than a minute. It's right round the corner from it.
Incredible stuff.
Incredible about how close that is.
Carl, mate, £5 and you're in, lad. Not even a tenner.
Matty's doing dodgy deals here for tickets.
Cash, though, strictly cash.
But yeah, as JP said, get your tickets because we will need to no final numbers just to make sure we give everybody a good, comfortable experience as well. It won't quite be standing room only, but it's getting towards what we'd have for capacity there. So yeah, by 5 o'clock Friday, tickets will come off sale. So if you're on the fence like I am, who hasn't got a Copperbox or an All In ticket yet, let us know. I'm leaving it to the last minute. JP was asking me today. I was like, it'll be fine. I'm doing it for science now, JP. I want to be that. I want to be the guinea pig. I'm going to wait until like 10 minutes before All In. And then if it ends up costing me like 500 quid and I have to give it to a tout outside, won't that be a good story for the podcast? And it'll be like that knobhead Benno who was moaning about All In. He had to pay the most of anybody to get in the building. I feel like there's a good... Or I have to watch it on my own outside on my phone. That'd be funny too.
That'd be funny, Benno.
Don't do that with our show tickets though. Get them before Friday. That's the important thing. And of course, Andy Ogden will have the world famous Graps and Claps raffle at the half time of our live show as well. So bring cash, Matty. You can do that bit because that's
bring cash for the raffle.
Yeah.
There's some cracking prizes. I've been lucky enough to see what's on offer for the prizes, and I want to win some myself. So I'm bringing my own cash and I'm entering the raffle myself, lad. So it will be a fix.
Nothing suspect there, is it?
Oh, he's gonna win. There you go, Nail. We know what's happening now, don't we? I've actually got. My mum gave me like a birthday card that she'd not given to me for 2 months from one of my aunties. Thank you, Auntie Marg. I'm sure you're not watching. But I got 40 quid in it. I had to give 20 of it to my dad because I owed him it for a parking fine I got while I was in Maidstone last week going to the Rev Pro show. So yeah, that'll teach you folks. Pay your parking. I thought I'd get away with it. I'd paid like for half the parking, but it was electronic, Matty. It wasn't a fellow with a book and a little machine.
Machines,
caught me. I went high tech there. I should have stayed low tech, but I've got some of that cash left, so maybe I'll put it towards it as well. That'll be the real Grapple Civil War. Who's going to win the Graps and Claps raffle?
I think JP. But also, sorry, JP, but also we've got to mention we'll have our good friend LF Doom Liam on the decks, Benno. Being on the decks.
On the ones and twos.
Yeah. He'd be loving it. Put a
Who do you trust more, though?
Exactly.
Cans of nourishment.
Grapple Zane Low for good and bad.
Liam, you've got to pick a can of nourishment to get it done. People will bring you one.
Keep them topped up. Keep the DJ well fed.
I'm sorry, and Andy as well, mate. No money even needed for a photo, mate. You want a photo? Free of charge, of course. And I'll do it.
With all of us, except for Matty, who will charge you.
We'll never charge, Benno. We'll never.
Carl said he'll bring the camera there, only a tenner for a photo of the Grapple 4. Make some cash there.
Expecting Carl to be the proper professional.
Are we going to find out the forfeit as well? Is that...
I've got 2 different ideas, and I'm still umming and ahhing. But genuinely, if anyone's got a good one, slide into me DMs. Let me know. Or
before midnight Friday, I need to prepare.
I'm not telling you, mate. You're not going to find out until the night
on stage.
Yeah, that's it. Somebody messaged me the other day with a good idea, but I'm open to them. If anyone's sitting there thinking, I've got something good here that Matty will have to do, let me know. They gave Steve some forfeit. We'll figure something out.
Juggalo makeup for All In.
Come on, JP. That's pushing the boat out now.
And more than 50 quid for the picture with Rev Pro. I think if you can find him that weekend, he's going to be there. Who knows? Yeah. Mystery. But there we go. That's it. Everything going on with the live show. So like JP said, definitely get your tickets. Final plug for until Friday when we won't be able to take any more. But yeah, outside of that, we've got a lot going on the Patreon before we get started, lads. We did do a best on British soil mixtape over the weekend. Missed you both on that one with me, Gareth, and speaking of Andy Ogden on that one, going through 8 of the best Brit Res shows of all time, Brit Res matches of all time. Not the 8 best, maybe not even 8 we all loved, but 8 will be in consideration. I think. I don't know if we offended you, Matty, by only going once to WWE for the best matches on British soil, and it was a WWE UK match. I don't think that counts, does it? To you?
Doesn't count.
Technicality.
No.
Bloodline Civil War should have been the one, shouldn't it? We
Should
went
have been
to
on there.
Cedar and Sean. Come on, it's like fucking 6 hours long.
That's what I thought you to watch back though, because I didn't love it. I think it's overrated, but I just want to see your.
It could be a podcast on its own, mate. That's a whole podcast with a homeworker. Fuck that.
But no, to be fair, like Andy, yourself, Gareth, like the main men covering all the British matches there. And good to hear Ben Corrigan as well, getting a good shout out there, because one day I'll get him on. Yeah, we'll get him on. Yeah, the absolute OG, the legend himself. So yeah, but it was a good listen to what I've listened to so far, lads. Brilliant.
I was going to say the stuff I'd listened to was absolutely crackerjack, and it was just like 3 of the matches. I think I was at the Progress match, and the high stakes. I was at that one, and the 4 of them it would have been, because also the obviously All In 2023, but that Pac versus Cara Noir. But going along too with
Joe mentioned just for that. Yeah.
It was a heavy session that night, that one as well. I mean, it was. They were like,
I won't play back the audio. Get what Gareth thought of it versus what you probably thought of it at the time.
I wonder what he would have made of that. But I mean, at the same time, just the mix and match of the stuff on there as well for World of Sport, Benno, AEW, Rev Pro, Riptide, WWE. It's all Progress. I feel dirty saying that. All of those, just like a brilliant selection. So yeah.
But can I say though, Gareth hit the nail on the head as well. Though, with like we don't give our little tiny island, he said, enough credit. They've all passed through here, JP. They've all wrestled over here, haven't they? On the come up, like from Bryan Danielson, like he said. You think about him headlining the stadium show here on Sunday. He's had Swerve. They've all passed through here, mate. So yeah, we've got to tip our hat. Give ourselves a bit of credit.
There'll be a volume 2 of that. It was, like I say, we went through the FSM top 50 as well, and obviously I couldn't justify Matty reviewing Nigel versus Bryan again.
Yeah.
I've done it like 4 times.
I heard you say that. Yeah,
you got to retire that, along with as we always say, Brett and Dave. Yeah, that's a retro episode. I'll leave you to it, Matty. You're welcome. You just can have that one at some point in the future. But the one thing I'll do with a reference, Andy Ogden says here, Les Kellett, the man who was like a hero in the Northwest. I sent the link to it to me Uncle John, who was a big fan of him. And all I got back was magic with a thumbs up. So that could mean he's watched it. That could mean he's listened to the podcast. I don't know. But he was a big Les Kellett fan back in the day. Big name, and you might surprise you. My review on the Les Kellett match on the show as well. So yeah, definitely check it out if you haven't already. And hot off the presses, getting into to All In week, because that is pretty much going to dominate the show with pretty much all the news and pretty much all the previews, with a couple of exceptions. JP, you got us started early, as you might have seen John Paul Houlihan's maybe not your name, but the grapple name popping up on and some quotables on Fightful and other places today.
That was wacky. Yeah, I did an interview today with undisputed British heavyweight champion Michael Oku, where we addressed the AEW rumours to sound like the aggregators.
I like that you went right into it. Straight into
it,
JP. Yeah, proper journalist. Respect that. Good work.
I thought there's going to be plenty of time for chatting shit, and chat shit we do. And we do towards the end as well. Like, we get some proper like grapple verse questions going in there as well. Soaps, top 5 veg, what would be in your ideal roast, what you're watching currently at the minute on stream.
The last question though, Jim.
A lot of conversation about Newcastle as well. Yeah. Newcastle FC and stuff like that. So it was like really, really good stuff. But we also talked loads about like his time in CMLL, you know, what in terms of going into New Japan, what he thinks of the British scene, you know, how he manages his workload in terms of where he wrestles as well. And it was like, and he's a lovely bloke, as you can completely imagine him to be. He's a lovely lad. So it was like really fun, really easy chatting to him. So that's up on the free feed up there on YouTube. I know some of the patrons have asked if we could do it as an audio file. So I'll put that up on there probably within about the next day or two, and put that up on there as well for people to listen to. So it's a nice little palate cleanser, I thought as well. But yeah, he's a great lad. Yeah, these interview things they're easy, mate. Anyone.
So he told you off air, then he's going to be on All In, right? He's going to be.
He told me he signed with WWE. Is what he said.
Breaking news. Fightful don't report that.
But taking.
But yeah, from what I heard, the first part of it, I was out and about today, listening to that. Like I say, cracking bloke, Michael. Glad you got the heavy duty stuff out the way, and yeah, doing you proud there, Matty, with the off topic questions as well.
Top 5 veg. He wasn't expecting that one, JP. I love this. He seems like just a dead down to earth fella, genuine fella as well, yeah. JP. But that last question you asked, I wasn't happy with the answer, but I'm glad that you're there. Gareth weren't either, but I'm glad that you asked it.
Brett, was it? Oh, I know what it was now. I just right. There you go. There's a teaser for me. I'm gonna have to finish it now to get there. You and Will he turn up at the live show? Maybe that's who he's signed for. Michael Oku is exclusive property of Grapple now, and this was the introduction. You'll see him at the Copperbox Saturday. That's where he's going to be spending his night. But invited, as is everyone else.
Oh yes.
But, yeah, great work, JP, and yeah, it's good to see people enjoying that, and the aggregators picking up the news as well. That's fine. We encourage it over here. Little kickback to Grapple doesn't hurt either. But yeah, good to see the world enjoying that one. But yeah, we'll be talking a bit of Michael Oku as we go, and we do have a lot of Wembley stuff to get into. But we do have one quick, I say, potentially gigantic story to mention with AEW, which is again your good friends over at Fightful, JP, breaking that AEW and WBD are being negotiated the new TV contract, and there's a little bit of additional news on that one. Apparently, a substantial offer has been made by WBD. This just breaking about half an hour before we've gone live, and then it comes after a productive meeting between AEW's Tony Khan and David Zaslav Mr. Zaslav in Paris, as Tony Khan continues to be the only man on planet Earth who shows that man any respect. Good reason for why, but apparently the proposal is extensive, indicating a significant commitment, and no further details were provided. There's another story to go along with that one, JP. But what's your reaction to that? Is it overall sounds positive? Sounds like there might be there's a substantive offer on the table. At least we know that.
Yeah, it sounds positive. There's loads of details and stuff, like whether it's involving pay-per-views, whether it's involving Ring of Honor, things like that we don't know about these. But what it sounds like to me is that they're at least in the ballpark of agreeing it, and it's just finalizing what the dollar figure will be. And it's just difficult to know what that dollar figure is. It's funny because obviously there's been a lot of talk about there's going to be a whole series of announcements, which we've obviously had the All In announcement for next year, going to Texas as well, and that this one was going to be there. And I thought to myself, are they going to announce this at Wembley, which is completely the wrong place to do it?
We're all going to be like,
they do.
What?
Yeah. What difference? How does this affect ITV? No, well, not bother. We'll get them to them in a little bit as well. But it does sound at least positive that there is going to be a deal on that. It's just that they've let it go so late, but that's partly because of the NBA stuff and trying to agree with that. Whether Max comes into it, not talking about my son, I'm talking about the HBO platform that was HBO. I don't want to get rid of that bloody name. It's a great name with a great brand recognition. But anyway, I digress for that. I think it is like we are getting to that point of getting the deal. I wouldn't be surprised if it is something that comes out like this weekend. And at that stage, as you've said many, many times, they'll be financially set. And then we'll get on what they should do with the money.
TV deal anyone outside of WWE's ever gotten in wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, it can't be understated. This company, we are not, as much as we might get described, it's at those grifters who think AEW is about to go out of business. They are not going out of business anytime soon, and this deal's going to be a gigantic part of it. But yeah, just had a little bit more detail. Apparently, there's a bit of red tape apparently that they're still working through. Sources close to the situation, this also breaking from Fightful Slack, saying that the offer had been offered at least double the amount of their previous deal. So there you go again. We're talking very, very big money there. Some question asked about what it included as far as TV goes, and ROH is all, as you said there, JP, always going to be a question question. But obviously that would have a big impact on what the prices that AEW get. And also Fightful Select did ask if there's been any discussion on a shift in pay-per-view strategy as it pertains to AEW. Obviously, Max being I think it's still called Max as a JP, or they shifted back to the HBO name. They probably fucking should if they're not planning it already. But yeah, apparently they obviously made some inquiries, and there's been some conversations about that, but no conclusive detail on it as well. Would shock me if that was part of the deal too.
It feels like it's one of the big more. I mean, what was the last pay-per-view buyer? About 130,000. That's not to be sniffed at. Like, I mean, that's not a million miles away from what UFC will do on. Like, a lot of their pay-per-views will do around 200,000, and they've got that monster deal with ESPN. It just makes me feel that if they are looking to get stuff on Max, that feels like a great home for Ring of Honor. That feels like a place where you put a Ring of Honor product on there, even if
make
it's
it prestige,
like,
make it important, make it for the sickos. Actually, do that. Like, just go wild. You know what I mean? No one cares about the Wire's ratings. Nobody cared about like what Sopranos was doing necessarily back on the day. You know, no, Game of Thrones wasn't measured on that, was it, JP? You know, it was quality.
No, God,
and it was conversation wise. You could do that. You could make it a thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it is going to be. Like, I mean, it's just not to be overstated how important this is, because what it'll do is it will cement AEW's existence. Now, we will obviously pull apart stuff that they're not doing right. Trust me, this show will be an example of that. But that's like all the talk of WCW, like you hear Eric Bischoff talk and go, the company that you did will never sign a TV deal anything close to this. And like, this is like a hell of an achievement for them to do, like to just a complete startup to be signing a level of deal that potentially is going to be coming up. That's not to be overstated. What a massive success story that is.
Absolutely, and it's gonna be huge, no matter what. Like, based on that report and based on any of the report and just based on common sense. Question for me is going to be, when's it actually going to get released? As you said, JP, they could do it at Wembley. I get doing it at Wembley week. I could see Tony doing it in front of the press if they have press events on this week, or if they do. Obviously he's got the normal Tony Khan conference call, I think, on Thursday. Probably wouldn't imagine it there, but maybe post-show, maybe in front of the media, you do it there, you got the world's eyes on you, you take a few more headlines. I think it's cool. I really do think it's probably coming this week or next week, unless there's significant hold up on the WBD side. So, and Tony Khan keeps teasing it, doesn't he, that it's going to be the biggest week in AEW history, and I think he'll definitely want to be part of it. But yeah, well, it's talking business, and we're talking numbers. Like I say, it's all in week, so got to celebrate as we do. It's a chance to do this, JP. Well, last year it would pretty much got us through the summer. This year it's been a bit dribs and drabs. The other AEW numbers game when it comes to Wembley ticket sales, but we know a little bit more. So I think the Cardiff number is going to be the more interesting conversation when we get there as well. But yeah, got to talk it. If this is potentially last All In at Wembley, or at least the last one for a couple of years, and yeah, our friends over at WrestleTix, they're my friends. I don't know if they count me as their friends. Who knows? After my day on Twitter today, I've reported latest, most up to date numbers as of today. We are at the current setup is for 53,832, and the tickets distributed is 49,358, which leaves an available ticket number of 4,474. Some of which you can get over on StubHub and other such places as well. But yeah, creeping up, JP, as a starting point conversation. Plenty to dive into that, and yeah, obviously the Cardiff number is moving, which we'll talk in a little bit. But yeah, 664 tickets WrestleTix have got here since 2 days ago. Maybe it's a lot of our listenership and people like us making the move finally.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because that's quite a jump up considering what when we followed this story. Ever since they're announcing and ever since the tickets have been on sale, it's been creeping up by most like 200. So 664 is a bigger push. It feels like getting to 50,000 was going to be a bit of a hurdle to get through. It feels like they'll comfortably clear that. And I imagine with some of the stuff happening on Wednesday, you'd hope I don't know why I'm saying this because they won't do it. There'll be some last minute media push to try and flog a few more as well. And whether or not they manage to nick this setup behind me that video viewers can see from Taylor Swift as well, whereby you can block off a quarter of the stadium, can't you, with a massive load of fucking screens and stuff, so you don't need to worry about that. But it is it's funny you've written down it is 50,000 a disappointment. It's a disappointment in comparison to last year. When you sell 81,000 and you go down to 50,000 and you are losing a third, like, you know, over a third of the tickets that you sold in the previous year, there should be some questions asked as to why this has happened and how that's come into place. Is it a financial disappointment? No. It's a $6 million gate. It will cover the cost of Wembley, which I think is about $500,000. Add in whatever the transport and the logistical side, which could even, you know, and the general costs of running the stadium and everything else, which is going to be a lot. It's still going to be a profitable show, including the boxes. That's going to be, and whatever the corporate seats are and things like that.
So I'll make sure you say that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he'll be getting that stuff in there. So I think in the end, what's the number they're going to announce? I don't know if they should be lying about it. Maybe the number they should be announcing is somewhere close to about sort of like 55,000, something along those like lines. I know it's set up for 53,000, but that wouldn't be surprised if that's the kind of number they go to. It's just in comparison to last year. Even like you have to say from that side of it, that's the reason why they're going to Texas. It's just almost like let things calm down. It's like they were, because what would it have been next year if it followed in the current trajectory? It'd have been down to like 30,000. Then you're like, well, why run there? Why not run in your own stadium that you own? You don't have to pay any cost for it at Craven Cottage, and you can sell that out. So, yeah, I think me and Matty, we said it'd be 65,000 is what we had said originally. And it's well down on that. That should be noted. It is well down on the 65,000 number, but 50,000 going to a company that's been in existence for a little over 5 years. That's incredible. Like, a New Japan will run the Tokyo Dome as they've been doing since the very early 90s, and they won't do 50,000. It's hard to see them doing 50,000 again. That's not to be sniffed at. It's just that Wembley is immense. It's a 90,000 seater stadium, and wrestling fans aren't Swifties. Like they will not like converge on places like like they're going to like Mecca or something. And instead, like it feels like, you know, it almost feels to me like in some ways AEW have taken a lot of the UK audience for granted. Oh, they'll turn up. They enjoyed themselves last time. It's like, yeah, you've got to actually really push the boat out for stuff. So, yeah,
I think for me, I mean, the title of this conversation does come from my Twitter today. When I've brought on myself, just put a penny in me, Matty. You'd like to
popcorn out,
mate. I've got a few things to say on this.
Come on,
I mean, firstly, like, it should absolutely be said, and I think, I would hope, I've been consistent in saying it this entire time. 50,000 people going to a wrestling show, if that's what it turns out to be. And it's obviously going to be more than that. If we've distributed 49,000 at this point, like we've said, there's going to be boxes and stuff that probably aren't totted up in the WrestleTix numbers, or at least according to the Tony Khan side. It is creeping up this week. It's going to be a little bit more than that as well. Like, that is... And again, I don't know how long you have to, before you're allowed to have the conversation we're going to have, how long you have to go, and how many times you have to say it. But very, very, very obviously and self-evidently, that is one of the greatest wrestling attendances of all time. It is. It absolutely is. It's like in the pantheon of great wrestling attendances. It's right up there, and it's going to be right up there as well, depending on what happens over the next few days. It's absolutely gigantic, you know. It's dwarfed only by a couple of, a handful of WrestleManias, and not even all of them, you know, and there's not many other shows. Again, like you said, JP, you're talking about a company that's less than, 5 odd years old at this point. Like, as an achievement, unbelievable. Like, it's a starting point, I should say, as well. Willing to eat crow when it came to the initial projections last year on Wembley, I don't think I was even that high up when I was talking about what I thought the numbers would be. We thought it was extremely bold, to go to Wembley, and Tony Khan made a lot of people like us eat our words, or maybe me, because I know you were a little bit higher on it than me at the time, JP. It can't be understated what a gigantic achievement it is. And the problem is, if you're going to have a conversation about this on Twitter, everything I just said there would take up more than one tweet, all right, lads? So I can hold two different thoughts at the same time, and that is absolutely true. And if we don't say it enough, I apologise. We should say it more. We should all bask in that. It is unbelievable. On the best, British soil mixtape we did this weekend, we watched Punk and Joe from Wembley last year, and it gave me all those feels again of being at that, day-lit stadium with all looking round and just trying to count. I said on the podcast, trying to count the heads and the eyes, trying to make my brain understand how many people I was in a room with, watching, guys do an ROH tribute match, and watching Prince Nana, and watching, indie stars from the years, and stars that AEW have made of their own. It was pinch yourself stuff last year, and it's gonna be that again. What a fucking weekend we're all gonna have, and like I say, it should be a celebration that AEW and a company their size has managed to do that. But maths are still maths and numbers are still numbers. We still need to have a conversation, and maybe the time for this conversation isn't now. Maybe that's what I found out today on Twitter. People aren't ready for that conversation. We'll have the post-mortem afterwards. Why were we last year talking about numbers in the 80,000s, and this year we're talking about numbers likely in the 50,000s? And if they hit 60, fucking hell, well done to them. It'll be genuinely, I think that will be a success. And that's not me saying the number they're hitting this year isn't a success either. It is in its own way, but there's a gigantic difference there. 30,000 people, if that ends up being the difference between last year's attendance and this year's attendance, even if you don't necessarily agree with the reasons we might think that is there, or other people talking about this might think is there, there's still clearly a conversation worth having. Why are we talking about it this year, with smaller number? And I'll cut this off before it starts, because it's all I've heard today. Well, Taylor Swift. JP has got the Taylor Swift setup behind him. Taylor Swift did 90,000 people. They can get 90,000 people into a Taylor Swift setup. 50,000 is not the limit for AEW. It's a great cover story, and we said it at the time when they announced it. It is a great, we had to change the production setup so we could only do so many. And that's so many, again, not blind to it, isn't going to be 90,000, as shown by JP. A lot of standing at a Taylor Swift gig. Quite a few, seats that are almost kind of behind the stage as well. She did the same thing when she was in Anfield and other places. It's they're just getting as many people in as they possibly can. They make it work, don't they? I'm not even saying the number is 90,000, but if you've got any awareness or any level of education about how these things work and how ticket on sales work, the initial allocation will be a number, and then it'll go up, and then it'll go up, and it'll go up based on demand. The current setup is 53,000, and we're at 49,358. Very, very impressive. But if they could sell more tickets than that, if the tickets distributed right now was 52,999, they would be opening up more seats. And if you don't believe me, again, maybe the conversation for this is after All In has happened, you're going to see it with your own eyes on Sunday. Despite the fact they sold 80,000 tickets last year, I was sat in the top deck, there was a lot of red empty seats still, because as JP will constantly tell you, especially the Americans, Wembley is fucking gigantic. There will be empty seats there. And again, that's not even necessarily a dunk. It's just reality. Again, it's mostly the Americans peddling it. Taylor Swift. Again, with that same setup, there's Taylor Swift for 90,000 people. AEW could, if things were hotter or whatever I'm not even giving a reason. Insert your reason as to why AEW have sold the number of tickets they've sold this year compared to last year. If they could, that number would be higher. And if you're one of those people who's just that's not a negative, we should only talk about the 50,000 number. Okay, it's unfortunate you can't hold more than two thoughts in your head, but fair enough, I understand it. It's a celebratory weekend, that's fine, but it's still a fact, whatever the reason is, that those two numbers are different. And I think we should talk about it. Even if our conclusion ends up being it's still fine, it's still good. It's very obviously a conversation point, JP.
Oh, it absolutely is. I mean, I don't know, because it's almost like it's a denial of maths. You sell 81,000 one year, the next year you're selling the same thing, and you're basically, you're wiping your feet to get to 50. That says if they could sell more tickets, they would sell more tickets. They would do, but they're not going to be able to. And it's also in conjunction with, and this is something that we've spoken about like for a couple of years, like the year on year. I feel like I'm becoming Gareth, but the year on year, there has been a decline in ticket sales. That cannot be denied. Arthur Ashe is like the perfect example of that. They sold it out first time round. It looks like they're looking like 5,000 for Grand Slam. That's a quarter of what it was. And what is the reasoning behind it? Because the product isn't as hot. That's why.
That's
like
it,
all the other stuff is an enormous smoke stream from it. And again, and I think this is part of it is the hellhole that Twitter/X is.
Oh, it's not just been there, mate. My name's been shouted in Discords today.
But it's so depressing, the level of, I mean, we joke about the tribalism like between us, and even when I'm sat there and I'm watching mum and dad, in your case, arguing with each other, like it's a conversation. It's like it's a friendly conversation about it, but the level of tribalism then goes straight into denial as well. And I am somewhat bored. Like it is a boring point about how people just haven't got what these shows could be and what they should be, and what even like it was the same kind of characters talking about All In last year, and I still think there's a knock-on effect from that where people had bought tickets for a show early in advance, and do you know what? They didn't build to it very well. And yeah, the show was fun on the day, but how many people probably thought, well, do you know what? This is probably as good as it's going to get. So are they going to come back? I mean, there's lots of things you can say, like, and maybe I'm then projecting. And again, like you said, we can discuss about the reasons why, like, and it's going to differ. And there's going to be people who say stuff and go, oh, actually, I hadn't thought of that. That's a good point to bring up. But like a lot of it seems like just head in the sand denial of reality stuff, and without asking the hard questions. And I think this is where we go to, if it's the same members of the media who have never asked serious questions in all of these press conferences. And it's like, well, yeah, maybe you should be bringing up stuff. Maybe it is like this whole conversation, this whole debate is stuff that needs to happen, but it also needs to happen with the company, with Tony Khan. And instead it's just like, well, how do you like your belly to be tickled, Tony? Right. And it's just like wasting everybody's time. And I think the problem is there's this sort of like false sense of where they are in the country, and the Cardiff sales sort of really tell the story on that.
Hold that. I've got thoughts on that. I mean, just on Wembley, like again, we can get into the conversation. Is it inevitable that it was going to be down? I think that's an interesting talking point to get into. The reasons for it being down, like you said, just generally, like whatever your reason is, it's a colder product. That is probably a big part of it. We've made the conversation point on here. I know not everyone agrees, but I really thought AEW could plant the flag and be the UK, wrestling company, the dominant name over here. And when we get into the Cardiff stuff, there's reason to think that's probably not the case. And just in general, it's clear it's not the case. I honestly think the reason I brought up the Cardiff stuff is I think WWE are probably gonna come in next year, and I'm not fucking wishing for it. That was an opinion attributed to me today. They're gonna come in and go, stadium. We could be the stadium wrestling promotion in the UK. They know their nose was absolutely pushed out by AEW's incredible success last year. And Triple H is a petty man. It's not going to shock me if SummerSlam ends up being here next year. And like I say, load of reasons why the number's down. Even just down to, you always say it, JP, infrastructure. You look at this weekend at Wembley. I was talking about it on True Elite on Saturday. Like, when I went to Money in the Bank in Toronto, last time I'll bring it up, you can't move for WWE stuff. AEW don't do that. They're just not. And that's not even a diss. They are just not a big enough, old enough, put together enough company to take advantage of the fact that they're in this town and to take over the town. WWE have better contacts when it comes to real media and putting people on real television shows rather than, no offense to them, Cultaholic or whatever. And they have, that just more of an infrastructure and more of a base out in places like the UK to put that work in. And when they come here and do an inevitable stadium show, you're not going to be able to move for WWE stuff. AEW just aren't big enough to take advantage of that. They aren't big enough to it was almost like I honestly think the 80 80,000 was almost like they almost couldn't handle the fact that they were that successful. They weren't set up to profit off of that in all of the ways that I think a more fully formed business would. And we can maybe get into that side of it as well. But I suppose to that point, was it something that was thrown back at me today? And it wasn't all bad faith, because people attribute my thoughts as bad faith. So I should, throw everyone out under the bus. Absolutely, I agree. 50,000 is an important number, is an important and big number. Is there an argument to be said? I aired it out today that it was inevitable that they weren't going to hit that number again. They weren't going to hit 80,000 again. There was always going to be
million years, Benno.
Attrition.
Sorry to jump in there.
Yeah, go for
100 because it's the novelty value as well for me of that first time when something happens.
That's a big part of it.
It is. People need to understand that. And once again,
this is not having a go at AEW.
That's not having a go at AEW. That's just, it could be anything, yeah. You very, very rare that you've got to be like a Taylor Swift. Like if she come back next year, she'd do 90,000. You've got to be that established, whatever you want to say, that hot, whatever you want to call it. So I'm saying it's novelty value. And it has though, and I don't want to come on it, Duncan. It has, as JP said there, every attendance they go is down year on year, so it's going to have that effect over here as well. A lot of people in our chat, in our Discord, are waiting to the last minute. A lot have waited and then told us, well, we're not bothering because the product's not as good as it was, even for the day out and even to see all of us. So it's a lot of factors for me, Benno, and why it is.
Running twice, just the fact of doing that, I actually don't think that we would do that. They've done it rarely, haven't they? But they've probably not a good idea to go back immediately. And again, credit to them. I think we were overwhelmingly, mostly, I think, on the weekend show, JP, complimentary about the decisions to not come back next year. Because I don't think I think whatever side of the coin you're on, you'd agree, it'd probably be even lower if they did it again next year. Because again, whether it's novelty, whether it's hotness of the product, whether it's insert your reason, if we're doing 50-odd thousand this year, what will we be doing next year? 30-odd thousand, and it's diminishing returns, and they still make a profit, and it'd still be a big Wembley show, but it starts to look worse, and it's, there's reasons to wait a year. That's if they do come back and do a Wembley in 2 years. It could just be at that point. Well, I think an arena tour, as you've always said, JP, ends up being the better idea. And the reason I bring up Cardiff again, it gets misinterpreted. That I know. I turned it to you today, Matty. I know that when you look at the Cardiff numbers, because WWE, did you know WWE've got a house show in Cardiff coming up? We talk about actually PR and stuff. I didn't know that, to be fair.
No.
I had no idea.
I go to the Liverpool one, but I didn't know they had a Cardiff show, to be
part
fair.
Part of that tour, isn't it? Didn't catch it when it was announced, but they have sold, it is factually true, more tickets for that Cardiff show in October than AEW have sold so far for the debut of Dynamite on Wednesday. And that's nothing to do with as far as capacity goes, because of course AEW running a TV show, therefore cameras, therefore staging, therefore more setup. Their capacity is lower than what WWE's possible capacity is. But with still, I think at press time, JP, 100, we'll get the live number, 100 to 200 tickets still to go, in Cardiff. The overall total that AEW could even possibly do is still lower than WWE have sold today, 2 months out. And that does say something. Maybe it's not complete deal breaker. Or AEW didn't sell Cardiff right away, so they're fucking done and they're dead. Absolutely no one is saying that. Are they not going to do it? I think we've been consistent in saying it, JP. They're going to crawl over that finish line. They're going to get over it. It's just been a surprise if you know this market and you know how excited people were for AEW to come a couple of years ago, that the debut of Dynamite is taking this long to sell out. Again, I know that's not, we're not looking at it, saying, oh, they've only sold 2,000 tickets. They've sold, near 4,000 tickets. That's still decent number for a Dynamite. Absolutely, it's going to be one of the better Dynamites, absolutely, and it's going to be worth a while coming over. But it does say something to the appetite of fans to go to that show. I think it could be ticket pricing, could be part of it. The fact that it's the week of Wembley feels short-sighted, really. Maybe a misunderstanding of the geography of the company. That's still on them, but that's a factor too. But I think it's fair to say it's a surprise, because I don't think 2 years ago, even if they did announce Cardiff, even if it was 2 years ahead of the AEW's first stadium show, or even last year they'd done it, I do think that would have sold out right away. And the fact that hasn't happened is something maybe we should learn from and look at and go, maybe there's a bit of interest in that. Maybe there's a reason for it. Again, whether we agree or disagree with the overall conclusions for that reason.
I think it would have sold out in a day.
Yeah.
I honestly believe that. Even if they'd sort of said last year, and we're going to be running the Dynamite beforehand, they said that and All In when they announced it was going to be that. We're going to have Dynamite beforehand as well. I think it would have sold out. I think it was just, it felt very slapdash how they put this Dynamite and Collision taping together. Like I say, the misunderstanding of the geography. And this is where I often think American fans don't get it, because there is a thing, and I was listening to a Brian Danielson interview on BBC Sounds. I couldn't even tell you which station. I know it wasn't 1 through 5 or 6, even for that matter. He was at. It'd have been probably that bloke in Warwickshire or whatever, like they've gone to before. But there was like, you know, it's an awkward place to get around unless you're willing to drive to Cardiff and then go to London. And yeah, there'll be some fans who'll do that. But in the main, a lot of them won't do. They've had to, in order to sell these tickets, they've had to cut the prices down quite dramatically in order to do
£7 on StubHub right now. Like £7 for a not sold out show.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And the thing is with this is that it didn't have to be this way. It just felt like there wasn't the level of organisation for this show. It was very highly priced. You were asking people, the same group of people who are probably travelling to London, oh, by the way, during the week, do you want to go to South Wales? Like, that's not an easy thing for people to do, particularly if they're working. It's like, well, that's just like a kind of like a non-starter of it as well. And I think any conversation with like the WWE house shows and stuff like that is I always look at that as kind of like it's a bad faith argument for this, because this is TV. This should be more special than anything else. And yes, they haven't got the same level of infrastructure that WWE has, but it should have felt like this was going to be like partly like a special event. It's the kind of thing you should have announced like New Year's and got in place.
Lads, this is what it is though. Andy said in the chat here, even if WWE ran Wembley and it was a lesser attendance, because like, as you say, that press is so good, you'd know it was a success. It'll bounce off the screens that it's a success. And you're saying about the merch and that, Benno, they should be giving it a go though for me. We shouldn't be able to switch it on and not see this in our faces. Especially all this week. It should be so hammered home to you. And I'm sure
Dynamite from Cardiff's not even on telly. Like, come on, like,
oh, that's abysmal.
For this great ITV deal, it's going to be on at 1 a.m. Of course it is. Of course it is at All In Week. Yeah.
So it's really live at 1 a.m. in the morning.
On Fight it is.
Yeah,
on
Fight.
ITV it's on at like... No, but it's on not much better. It's like 20 to midnight on... Is it Thursday or Friday night, JP? When it finally...
Oh, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah.
It should be like... I mean, it's a sad state of affairs because it's got much better clearance being on ITV4 than being on TNT Sports. And they're going to lose that advantage again soon. Rather like the advantage of having run a stadium show and, like you say, planting their flag of like, we are the promotion that really does the fan service for fans in the UK. Instead, it's like they've wasted that by not doing anything about it. And they've wasted the advantage of this TV by going, well, at least we'll run live. What are they up against? Europa League qualifiers. Like, I think you can fuck them off for a bit, can't you? You don't have to worry about those. But that's the
They're
thing.
just not organised enough to get that in.
No.
It's like I think they've finally announced. I think they've actually announced today. So the press who were going, oh, by the way, on Friday we're doing a junket thing. Like today, it's it's Tuesday night. It's Wednesday morning by the time people are listening to this. Like, but you know, that is something that could have been done if they had the ducks in a row. But again, it doesn't mean that you know it's a black and white. The company's going on a business, and you know what a state that they've only just managed to sell out Cardiff. But again, if you can't look at those, you know, just that pattern and just that reality, and not think that's a little bit interesting, that's maybe indicative of something a little bit more to this story, then I don't know what to tell you really. And yeah, that's kind of the reason that kind of comes up as well. And Andy says here, don't know why they didn't do a bundle ticket for Dynamite plus Wembley, because they announced Wembley first, and Dynamite feels like it was something slapdash put together last minute, you know, organisation part of it.
Here's an arena, it's available. I'd also think as well, I mean, this is, I wonder if it's down just because fans from like Western Europe, mainland Europe, they're not making the flights over. This doesn't feel like as big a deal for them. And maybe a lot of them will have been served by Backlash in Lyon and the Bash in Berlin, that they'll think actually we'll wait for those instead. They've got these other shows that they're gonna go to, and they see the crowds for that. and maybe think, no, bank holiday weekend, flying to the UK. This country is a fucking kip anyway at the best of times. And I know this flight-wise, it's a bloody nightmare. So why bother? Like, I'd be interested. We won't ever find out what the makeup of it is, but how many international fans coming over this time, as opposed to last year, where it felt like it was like just a place to kind of congregate, because we thought what we were getting was a WrestleMania level event because we were in one of the biggest stadiums in the world, and
then we mowed our way out of it.
Yeah, yeah, it's the podcaster's fault.
I said this on weekend show. It's our fault. Yeah. and again, to rewind to my last thing I'll say, and to rewind to my question: was it inevitable that it was going to go down? I think probably, but not to this degree. You know, I don't think I expected. Again, first time, what a special thing. The at Wembley, didn't necessarily expect it to be the same. There's all the reasons you just mentioned, JP. That personally, I thought it would be the same. But even taking that out of it, yeah, of course, diminishing returns, second time in in the market, doing another stadium show the year after. Yeah, probably not. But I wouldn't have expected it to be as down, as before. But if we eat our words and it ends up being a number closer to that, because I don't know, WrestleTix have got it wrong. They haven't got the track records of that. They usually get these things dead right, or maybe there just happens to be a big surge of Grapple listeners who like me are waiting last minute for the tickets. Then that'll be great. It will be a good news story, and it should be celebrated that they sell 60,000 tickets if they do. It should be celebrated if it sticks at 50,000 now. That's incredible. We'll rank it. You know what? We'll do that. We'll figure out exactly where does it landed in the the top 15 or so wrestler attendance of all time. Once we get the final number, it's gonna be very high in those lists, and it does deserve those credit. But I think intelligent people can also have the conversation when we're talking a 30 to 40% difference about the reasons why. But I think that's enough on the numbers. I think we've exercised those demons. And I didn't call anyone a cunt, so progress, folks. We'll take it.
Saying begging to get to the matches now, lads.
Oh yeah, numbers here. It's because Garrett's not here, isn't it? Although he listens. But yeah, amongst that, we did want to reference obviously, Cardiff not being on ITV is a little bit of a disappointment and a bit of a missed opportunity, it could be said. Although All In is going to be showing on ITV, JP. But again, a few days afterwards, we're going to be getting it on TV. So ITV4 Thursday, August the 29th from 9 till 2. Good luck filling that time slot. I did notice I got a YouTube notification today. The AEW presser has been set up for 10 p.m. on the Sunday after All In. So again, good luck to the journos who are attending and that on it. Actually being 10 p.m. But we'll see what happens there.
Do you know what's on ITV4 tomorrow night? Just going out of curiosity. 8 o'clock, British Rally Championship in there. Not live. Followed by Snowpiercer, not the TV series, the film with Chris Evans in there as well, which is going on until 11:35. When Collision from last Saturday appears on. So Collision is on Wednesday. And it's like you look at it, it's ridiculous. Oh, and before British Rally Championship, in case they wanted to get started early, the Chase Celebrity Special. I quite like the Chase, don't get me wrong, but it tells you a lot, doesn't it? It's like, this is all movable stuff. This is stuff that could have been moved around the schedules and isn't.
Oh, there we go. Well, if we're talking All In, and we're going to get into the serious stuff, let's break the serious stuff very quickly before we get into what's going on this week. What do we all make of it? And I know you mentioned it off in this pre-show. The actual, real big AEW news story of All In week, as we all get excited to make our train journeys and car journeys down to London for what will again be a cracking weekend. I'd love to get into all the reasons why it's going to be a cracking weekend, but. Poor Mercedes Moné got into London a bit, or Wales it was, a bit early. And was saved this monstrosity, JP. What the fuck is that? And we know from the plate that is a Weatherspoon's breakfast that poor Mercedes has been given. With the caption O, which I don't think is a positive there. For audio listeners, let me describe, because I don't know whether you might have seen it out there. It looks to be 2 mushrooms, 1 very dry looking hash brown, an egg, and 1 piece of bacon. That's what we gave Mercedes to. Well, this is like Miko Satomura stuff, JP. What is it? with the foreign talent coming over and being served this muck. We need to sort it out as a nation. This is the real controversy of All In Week.
We've driven poor Mako Satomura into early retirement with the state of that breakfast last time. This, I don't even think, is what a small breakfast on their top plates, cheap rates thing is as well, where you can get yourself a breakfast for like about £4 in there. Like, I don't think it covers that. It's just like this is absolutely disgraceful. That egg doesn't look remotely runny as well. No doubt. The only thing that'll be running out of this is her ass as she's running to the fucking loo.
Looks poached, that, you know. That looks poached, I think.
Look, but it's square. It's so strange, isn't it? Like, look at it.
Them mushrooms, JP. Where's the beans or the tomato? At least get something on there. But maybe she's asked for it that way, though, lads. I mean, I don't know. It's just either way, it's one of the worst of all time. Oh yeah, the money she's on, she doesn't have to.
I was going to say.
Do you think she went for the small breakfast? Because you can do that, can't you? Or maybe she got a large and she just asked for. She's clearly asked for no beans. There's no beans.
Yeah, no wet.
Visible.
No toast. Or not on his teeth. You know, maybe it's off camera.
She's gone for the skinny one, hasn't she?
I've had that small breakfast before. There's more in it than that. And it looks bloody better than that as well. It is, Jesus Christ, it is shocking. And like I said a second ago, I think the only thing she'll come away with from that experience is the runs. Like, I honestly, I wouldn't be trusting that mushroom didn't work its way through her system immediately.
Sorry. We've got an expert here, not just an expert on British wrestling, as we talked about in the Best Matches on Brit Res Soil podcast this week. Brit Res Away Days here saying she's just ordered individual items from the extras section of Spoon's Brekkie menu. That makes sense, that, 'cause it's small, as he says here, it's a small side plate rather than a normal breakfast plate. I shouldn't know that either, but now that he says it, yes, that's exactly what it is.
Eye to detail there, Annie. Love it.
She's got eye to buy it. So she is splashing the cash, because rather than just getting the meal or something,
probably cost them more than
I was going to say.
Splashing
that
cash,
called?
Do you reckon she got a strawberry and lime Copperbox as well, along with the other morning drinkers? Or one of the refillable cups, which I know is £1.04 in Abingdon, but £1.56 when you go to Oxford as well. And I've begrudged that 52p in there as well. But I know Andy has had he's had a million.
He's almost on a million views there. Get him the engagement that I was allegedly fishing for today. I was not. Just leave me alone. I mean, Twitter's on private right now.
Here's the question: better or worse than Mako Satomura's? Because that just looked like food poisoning on a plate. Mako Satomura's, like, she should have been like.
That's still the gold standard. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
She'd have got full Sendai girls on whoever the poor chef was that day and kicked him in the fucking face, wouldn't she? She'd have lost her shit.
We'll all have a better one this weekend, lads, I'm sure, won't we? We'll all find somewhere and get them all posted.
We'll grab her, we'll take it a good one. Osprey's trying to get it to Nando's, but I don't think that's going to really result.
Can't go there for breakfast, though, can you?
Chicken for Brekkie, JP, no? Not having it?
It's a bit early doors, isn't it? I was there last night, but fucking hell, I couldn't do that for a breakfast.
Well, it's the big reason we're here this week. We should get into
Monet.
There you go. There's your title for Spotlight this week. But yeah, we should get into everything that's going on this weekend, and a whole host of shows, not just including us that we can run down as well. But as talked about, it does start with Dynamite and Collision in Cardiff on Wednesday. We'll keep it brief if you are listening to this after Wednesday. I know a lot of people on the trip down will be celebrating Cardiff, going, "Oh my god, they fit another 10,000 people in there. What a fucking idiot this Benno one is that I'm listening to here." But feels like a big Dynamite this week. The Dynamite, the Cardiff one, I would say, JP. And I think last couple of weeks of Dynamite, as you said, I definitely have been sour on. Not even sour on, just it's been fine. Whereas the 6 weeks previous, maybe even the 8 weeks previous, I think it's been a fantastic run of Dynamite. I've been absolutely loving the TV, and it's slowed down a little bit. But yeah, this Dynamite on Wednesday feels like it's going to be the big push, definitely.
Yeah, it does. And like, you look at some of the matches on here, like these are, like, you know, Kazuchika Okada versus Claudio Castagnoli for the Continental Championship. What is it going to be? One of Soraya's final appearances? We don't know. There's a story about her contract coming to an end, and what a great value for money signing she's very much been, as she's challenging Tony.
She's
Storm.
getting that deal. he should fuck her off. He should Uncle Phil her, as I saw Suit Williams say. But she's going to be there to put Jamie Hayter over, isn't she? There's going to be a big segment at Wembley. We're all going to go home happy. They're building to something with her, very clearly.
Yeah, they are for that. And, Hook versus Big Bill, which is something that has been built to, even though we don't like that as well. Chris Jericho versus Dynamite Kid, Tommy Billington as well. He's not going to get any grief. Yeah, as he should do. Well, he's dead, isn't he? So, like the original one. So he can use that name without getting a bollocking from him as well, because he wouldn't have took that well at all. There's a face-off between Will Ospreay and MJF. A lot of rumours that there's going to be some UK independent talent making an appearance on Dynamite on Wednesday. And yeah, we're going to have like more of a build. And in front of, I don't know, we've spoken about the attendance, but it's going to be pretty full. It's full.
No, it's going to be full for the setup that they give.
Exactly.
Absolutely. That's the conversation. It will mostly fill up.
So
unless you've got Garrett looking for the Drew McIntyre seats there.
So you imagine the atmosphere is going to be great. The atmosphere is going to be massive for this. I know Collision's got one match, and that's who is the fourth team in the trios London ladder match is going to be. That's the one thing we've seen there.
Is that getting set up there? Right.
Yeah.
I think they'll leave that at that. I think it'll be video. And it should be. Like we said, one weekend show we talked about Dynamite this week. Wasn't complaining about all the video back. But just, if you want to sell All In as your big show of the year, then, obviously it's the moment to do it. I think they'll probably do that again this year. Because who's going to see it also by the time we're actually sat at the stadium at All In? People
exactly.
Seeing Collision, are they? It is part of it. But yeah, anybody sad that they're not going to be in Cardiff? You could still make the trip, JP. One of those £7 tickets, not floating your boat.
No, not at all. I got asked asked by Joe whether or not I wanted to go, and I was just like, actually, no, I'm not bothered about making the trip over there for that. And that's not something I would have, a year ago, would I have thought about it? Yeah, I'd have thought about going over there. But at this point, there is just, I can't, there's not enough of a selling point on there. Like you say, there's stuff in there that's substantial in terms of building towards the card. And if you'd said to me a year ago, you're going to get a Kazuchika Okada title defense, obviously for a made-up title, in there, you'd have thought, okay, that'd be a big selling point. But I think this is the problem when you mentioned about the last couple of weeks kind of being functional, is because there was big, substantial stuff happening in the weeks prior to that. And it felt like, oh, shit, I need to see this because I need to see the MJF heel turn. I need to see the Mariah May turn on Tony Storm. You need to see these kind of they felt like must-see segments. Whereas these feel like, okay, we have to have a series of matches before we go to Wembley. What are we going to do? And instead, and it doesn't feel like there's that many stakes for any of them as well. And the Continental Championship, I could give less of a shit about. And I think that's kind of like the problem. I think they'll get away with it on the night and the crowd will be hot and the crowd will react to stuff. But in the main, if this was just like a standard episode of Dynamite, we'd be talking about this one also being a functional episode of Dynamite, wouldn't we? It would fall very much, for me, it would fall into that kind of camp.
Yeah. It's going to be a good way to start the week, I'm pretty sure. And obviously, yeah. It's a shame it's not on live, hit that point enough. But I'll be up watching the replay on Fight at 1 in the morning on Wednesday. I'm almost certain of it. I think it's going to get everybody on excited in the weekend and the build too. But yeah, that's coming up Wednesday and Saturday. But we should talk All In itself and everything we've got. Good way to talk how we're feeling about a lot of the feuds in the build up to it. And we can only start in one place, JP, when we look at the All In card, and that is of course the All In 0 hour. Which, remember last year when I was wandering past Wembley and I could just hear, is that Miro going on? Looking on my phone on the fight feed going on. This isn't even the advert. It was like the advertised pre-show wasn't supposed to start for an hour. They just bunged them out there. They did the Grado and Jeff thing, didn't they? Do we expect anything like that again this year? Obviously I think the Cena Gauntlet's gonna take a big chunk of time on the day and maybe take some of those surprises as well. But yeah, it was so weird that last year, wasn't it? When it was just like a lot of that stuff taking place in front of what was still a lot of people, but a very empty look on Wembley.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because I mean, it's a weird match. It's a match that I'm not particularly looking forward to. Give me Willow Nightingale versus Chris Statlander in some sort of this was a blood feud for a while. Like, this was like a really big deal. And instead we've got Stokely Hathaway, what is going to be doing comedy as Tomohiro Ishii no-sells every bit of any offense he throws at him. And you're like, what's the fucking point of that? Don't get me wrong. There'll be another 3 matches.
When you found out at Rev Pro. This is Willow Nightingale and Tomohiro Ishii versus Chris Statler and Stokely Hathaway that I'm sure you're hyped for, Matty. But yeah, JP's face was a picture.
I can only imagine. Only wanted to see it so much.
I thought we were taking the piss.
Yeah,
Ishii's getting his Wembley moments of things now, folk. Come on.
But I couldn't believe it.
Gives a shit about Wembley moments. You've met him.
About it most times,
I don't think he gives a shit about giving a shit. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much about that tonight as well, mate.
No, but JP, that's a match where I looked at it and went, "What?" But I'm guessing that they're gonna do the blow off at the pay-per-view in 2 weeks, is it? All Out with Willow and Statlander. So I'm guessing, JP, that's the only reason. But still, I mean, and I don't get me wrong, I haven't seen all of the TV. Has this been built up on TV with Hathaway and Ishii? I mean, fucking hell. Doesn't sound like it's been good then. Fucking hell.
JP has seen it and he's not excited for it either. No. And it'll be a good crowd pleaser thing. And
I get that.
Ishii's got a level of entertainment.
At least it's on the 0 hour though, yes, we'll say that.
And with Steph, like, it's been the feud between Willow and Chris, which is the main element of this. If they just got a straight up match, I think that'd be better. To be honest, if Willow was the one who sent over to Rev Pro and did the Saturday in Copperbox, that might be a better use of a time, or dare I say it, some other kind of shoulder show over the weekend. But it wheels them out there until you can really say about it as a match. And of course,
I say though, Ben,
working Rev Pro the day before, which is a bit stronger.
Guaranteeing, like as you say, the pre-show stuff and all that. Paul White will be wheeled out there, won't he? 100% in front of the live.
As Dylan says, he got 2 hours to fill here. 4 till 6, Got to get people out the pub, get them in the stadium. It takes a while to fill that place, It is still a big place. That is one. Somebody said that to me today. That is a big positive, and I've got to back that up. It'll be a lot easier getting out of a stadium that's got 50,000 people in it.
Oh, fucking hell, you didn't think of that.
It's a win, isn't it?
That is a win.
A lot easier.
Definitely.
As a
like Goodison on a Saturday, That's all right. We manage it in Walton, so I'm sure we can manage it around Wembley. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, good shout, that.
But 0 hours starts at 4, and Connor says Ticketmaster shows there's a 5 stars. That is what happened last year. Everyone's ticket said, I think 5, and even like the YouTube, I think, said 5, and they just started going and started doing stuff. So there we go. Get there early, folks, for 0 hour. But getting into the show itself, we are kicking off with a casino gauntlet for a guaranteed world title shot. We like those guaranteed world title shots in AEW. They did a job of doing that 3-way, didn't they, on Dynamite, to decide who's going to be first or low. As we were saying, I don't know if that's necessarily where you want to be in a match like that, but they do it at the Rumble too, don't they, as well? So who's got number 1? And it's like, you realise you've got to now beat 29 other people. It's not an honour in any way. You should be fuming. It's kind of that a little bit.
If you lose, you should be number 1 in the Rumble. Surely.
Who we expected to be in it? Anybody of interest from Brit Rez or otherwise?
I'd expect Michael Oku. I'll just go out there and say that now. That would be one. I'd expect Grado.
Fightful don't report that as news. JP doesn't know. I don't know either.
I don't know. He's not sent it to me. He didn't send it to me off. I'll be on there as well at the same time. But I would expect him to be on that. I mean, it depends on what the numbers are for this. I mean, I was quite happy when they announced this match. I remember saying this to you as well. I was like, actually, this is the easiest way of getting a whole load of people that you want to have on the card. He's got a roster big enough for it. There's a lot of easy crowd pleasers. Starting off with Orange Cassidy as the number 1, it just guarantees that big pop, doesn't it? As much as anything else. But your Kyle O'Reillys, your Roderick Strongs, like, they'll all work their way in there, and it'll be that kind of like mid-card type stuff in there. At one point, I would have thought it would be. I would have thought it would have ended up being Pac who'd end up winning it, but I think it's been slightly complicated by the fact it's the all out, because it's the all out title shot. It's like, okay, how are we going to go to that? So I'm probably even thinking Orange Cassidy will win it, because I think that's just like a good go-to person. And they headlined last year's All Out with him and John Moxley, and that was an absolutely fucking brilliant match. It was like
no chance of that though. No chance of like a Moxley or Takeshita coming back over for this or anything like that, JP?
I don't know how you bring Moxley out. Maybe Takeshita. Yeah, maybe. I could see Takeshita. I don't know. Obviously, they got the setup on Collision for the. I was thinking maybe the Mystery Trio. He could be involved in whatever they do with that. Yeah, I could see it though. Moxley again. We've saying it's all in at Wembley Stadium in front of 50,000 people. Like it probably would be a good place to bring anyone back, wouldn't it? And get that monster pop. Yeah, that's half what that's half what WrestleMania's built on, isn't it? Big pops, big entrances.
Yeah,
of
but
getting to see all the big stars.
This match as well. This match type gimmick has been lauded when it's happened, hasn't it? So it's glad that it's on this show to showcase it again. So yeah, I'm expecting this to be a good one. That's to be fair.
I am as well. The more you say Moxley, the more that makes sense from a storyline perspective. I don't want to do complete spoilers necessarily for who I think will win the main event. But if Bryan Danielson does win and you're going into All Out and you've got him and Moxley as his first title defense, proper title defense, that's a pretty good way to go. I mean, there's that part of me thinks that Orange Cassidy is always that go-to person they can put in there for it. But if you weren't going to do it and you're going to bring someone back, like Moxley would be like a really good way to go. I mean, obviously,
to do Ricochet, make it his match. Maybe
he could be in this. Yeah, good shout. What about Hangman?
It's an amazing way to bring someone in, but it's a interesting way. Presumably, he's doing something with Jeff. I could see that getting added this week.
Right.
Hangman versus Jeff.
Yeah, at Wembley Stadium.
You can sell that with Grady on the radio again. Presumably.
Well, Ricochet's a good shout, Benno. That's a good shout for the debut.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you want to bring Ricochet in a match like that? Well, how else do you bring Ricochet in? Unless you just announce Cold, he's working Ospreay at like All Out or something like that. Yeah. If Ospreay's not the international champion, obviously you could do that. But yeah, that might be that's my wild card shout for it. And obviously, we only know Orange Cassidy at the minute for it. But moving on from there, we have the London ladder match for the AEW World Trios Championship. This is genuinely, and I saw it wound Alan Farrell up this week. And how would you wind Alan Farrell up? Like, come on, like that's a tough task. For who's gonna get their Wembley moment is what the AEW Twitter said. But it's like, fuck off. Like there are many ways. Not even many ways. There are some ways, I suppose, AEW, young company, could learn some things from WWE. Verbiage and all of the fucking negatives that we all hate about WWE these last 20 years. Maybe don't copy them, and this is one of them. Pointing at the fucking Wembley sign was another one they started to introduce last year as well, wasn't it? Like, just there are easy ways to be different, aren't there? Despite popular belief, we don't necessarily want AEW to be a carbon copy of WWE, but there we go. Wembley moment on the line. The Bing Bing Ging of Juice Robinson and the Guns, the House of Black, Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews, the mystery team. So we'll take bets on who that could be, and the Patriarchy, Christian Cage, Nick Wayne, and Killswitch.
I hate Trick. I don't give a fuck, really. I mean, in many ways,
God gets better.
It does. I mean, I think for this one it's too many people. For a start,
12 men in a ladder match.
12 people.
That's a lot.
That's excluding like Mother Wayne, whether or not Jay White gets involved, whoever the mystery team have on the outsides as well. When thinking about who the mystery team would be, I was thinking, well, I thought the kind of boring, I say slightly safe option, they're kind of reckless, would be a Top Flight, for example, just because Dante Martin can do some flippy shit involving a ladder, and that will seem spectacular. Or it could be a Blackpool Combat Club team, depending on what happens with Claudio as well, as a way of sort of like maneuvering them onto the show. I don't know how that would work logistically in terms of like Collision and whatnot, and having Claudio do double duty on that. I think either way, the thing about this is probably at the time it'll be fun because there'll be a whole lot of crazy shit going on. Who do I expect to win? Weirdly, I just expect the Patriarchy to keep it because they're just like the sort of safe pair of hands, and we'll have other title changes going on later on. This is one where does it need to go into the Bang Bang Gang? Does it need to go into House of Black? You keep it in the Patriarchy. It's like an easy route out, but it's this very much is like, whereas the Casino Gauntlet is like a logical way to have 15 odd people appear on the card, and you get to space it out and have all the entrances and stuff like that. This is one where you're just overloading the ring with stuff, aren't you? And that's not, I hate that about these, and I hate trios titles anyway at the best of times. So I'm going to go with the patriarchy.
Yeah, I agree with you, JP, the patriarchy to win, but it's one of them, JP, when I seen it announced, I was like, on the day and in there, I'm going to be jumping up and down when all this stuff's going on in the ring. So I can't really shit on this. I can't shit
in the
on
British
this.
Indies in the 2010s, mate, that you don't want to, you know.
But actually, booking wise, JP, what I've seen about like how they got there, same with the triple threat match. I'm not going to say lazy booking, but it's the similar booking. You know what I mean? It's very much we knew what was going to happen type thing to get there. But on the night, I'm going to be fucking laughing my head off watching this crazy shit go down. So I can't complain about this one. I'm sorry.
I don't really have a strong guess on who they'll be because this wildcard match has completely thrown me on Collision to be taping on Wednesday. But the mystery team, I'm guessing, unless it is a legitimate wildcard match, and you can bring like somehow bring back Ahmed Johnson and put a team with Shawn Michaels.
Not the Von Erichs and Dustin Rhodes, JP, no. Didn't ring him on in trios, Andy.
Could be that.
They don't travel, mate. They do Texas, they do Hawaii. Those boys don't do fucking anywhere else. And what they don't do is learn how to wrestle. That's something you can absolutely guarantee.
Subculture, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
I do. I expect Grado in the Casino Gauntlet, by the way.
Oh yeah,
Poppy got last year, I think, and they should do that. 2 doors down is never coming back. I'm devastated. So get as much Grado as I can get on my screen. I'll have it. But yeah, going from there. Speaking of lots of people, speaking of things JP will love. Honestly, you'll like the rest of the card, JP. Oh wait, 2 matches in a row here.
Wow.
FTR versus the Acclaimed versus the Young Bucks for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. And I'll make the joke again. I'm pretty sure the match from Dynamite is still ongoing, as is the match from Collision. Somehow we got there. Very, very WWE, old school Vince McMahon WWE booking to just be like, who are the 3 most famous teams? Sod it. They can have a match at WrestleMania. That's what we've got. FTR, the Acclaimed, and the Young Bucks in a battle of who's the least stale? I'd argue it's FTR, but the Acclaimed and the Bucks. How are the Bucks stale already in this new gimmick? They haven't been using it that long. It's like I saw them with Dynamite.
I've got to join in first on this as the one who hasn't been fully watching it all. Like when I seen this match, that what you described, Ben, was what I thought. How stale's this? Like how stale. Sorry, am I back? Because I need to go off here. Yeah. This is the stalest match.
You're making me a baby face here.
It's fucking... Go on. No, seriously, Ben. This is awful. This is not awful as in obviously the Bucks and the FTR and the Acclaim, it'll be over and stuff. But it screams that there's been no plans with the tag team titles. Bucks have had it for how long? 5 months. You know, as you say. News positive about this new gimmick with the Bucks, and I'm one of them similar with the MJF. I don't mind the Young Bucks as much as the next guy with the wink stuff, you know what I mean? But just on paper, this match is just so fucking stale. It's beyond belief, honestly. Jesus.
Match? That's still going on, FTR. I mean, maybe part of this is a want to put that right, because the Bucks, I don't know, the entrance was crap. They were probably real life distracted because of the stuff going on, backstage, but that didn't really live up to its bill. To be fair, that's the secret in it. FTR and Bucks matches haven't ever really lived up to the billing. But you chuck the Acclaimed, then you're not. All you're adding there is Billy Gunn to get a big pop, aren't you, in front of 50 to 60,000 people.
The most over in the match.
Really, isn't it, at the end of the day? Oh, you make sure of that too. You make sure, as an agent, he gets his spots. That's all this is, isn't it? Again, it's another one, unfortunately. I'm higher on the rest. I hope we're not dampening anyone's excitement for this, because I can't wait to be in that stadium. But I can't say I'm excited for this one either, unfortunately, if I'm just being honest. I hope FTR go over. Don't really have any other takes on it.
It's just like a damning indictment of the tag division. It felt like last year they got to the match because they thought, well, we should have this match at Wembley.
2 biggest teams have got that.
2 biggest teams we've got. And in an entire calendar year, they've gone nowhere. And the Acclaims have lost something. I mean, they've all lost something in that time. I mean, I think FTR, to me, have just looked like they're knackered, to be honest. They just look like they've hit a level of staleness for me, like all of these teams, and they haven't created anything else in that time around the tag division as well. And I mean, it felt like the match last year between the Bucks and FTR, I thought was just bang average. I really wasn't into it at all. I expect to be less into it for this one. I'm looking at this. This is my piss break match.
Huh.
Shouldn't be.
The next one is JP as well. But
Oh,
can I just, going back to the last
it's a long card, mate. I'll need more than one piss.
Was it Dax sandbagging those Northern Lights on Matt Jackson? That spot went on for about half an hour.
He looked like he weighed like 9,000 pounds on there, didn't he? The man was more arse than body. Like, he was not having it. Like,
you'll do it again this year, don't try and make it right. You want.
Drier than a camel's bollocks. Yeah.
Simon says it. One title defense in month, and that's it. It's just like there's no thought. I think you said it a while back. Clearly, the original plan that the Bucks would want to do is the Bucks versus Edge and Christian, and as soon as Adam Copeland got injured, that was never something that was going to happen.
I thought you were going to say Penta and Phoenix because, oh no, they would have been in the trios with Pac, wouldn't they? Yeah. That would have made sense, actually, yeah. Three with the Hardys. No, I'm not watching for that. I'm all right. Well, there we go. From there, it gets more exciting. FTW Championship. Hook versus Chris Jericho.
His feud's still going on as well, though. I mean,
it's not our fault, listeners. We didn't put the card together. Blame Tony Khan. If you're excited for that, I don't know what's wrong with you. I mean,
can I just jump in? I was in Las Vegas in March, Benno, right? And I watched them wrestle on Dynamite where Jericho supposedly put Hook over. And as Crewy says, to be fair to him, he was AEW diehard. He said, yeah, he put him over, but he was still the only guy that didn't tap to his finish. He got the pin on him, didn't he? So Jericho getting out of that, putting him over. And is this
to show the
is this what it is at the big moments? Is this what we're getting? Hook's big
the building since March, haven't we?
Yeah, tapping Chris Jericho at Wembley Stadium. Wouldn't shock me if Jericho won. Would it shock anyone else if Jericho won?
I doubt it. This is the big payoff to get the FTW title back on Hook.
Is it? All right,
I think it quite clearly is.
Yeah, it should be.
It should be short as what it should be if I'm giving a genuine no prediction, spoiler, I don't know, 3 minutes, squash. Actually put someone over, Chris, do that instead. Entrance, do your stupid wave. There will be people in Wembley playing along with it. It's sad to me, but people will. It'll be a crowd pleaser on the night, even if we'll be moaning, even if people at home probably be moaning like us, and even if it's probably the least exciting looking match on paper on the card. That'll be over, but then choke out done, sorted.
I think the most exciting thing that can happen in this match is Taz gets up from the commentary desk and hits Chris Jericho, and that somehow leads into the red rum from Hook. That's the only possible exciting scenario out of all of this, and that's involving Taz getting involved, 20 years past his retirement as well. I look at this match in particular, and I think if this was on the pre-show, I might have been fine with it. Weirdly, I would have thought pre-show match, because this is a title belt that I am not happy about the amount of title belts in AEW. This one definitely doesn't need to be.
The worst one, JP. It is, isn't it? Let's be honest.
There's no reason for it to exist. When they brought it in as part of the Brian Cage storyline with Team Taz, it made sense. It was something to do, but also it was pandemic times and they had limited rosters, so they had to be a bit more creative. And that worked. But it was only ever a short run thing. And it's just gone so far at this point. And like you say, this feud, was it 5 months? This has been going on. 5 fucking months. I don't want to count it into minutes for how long it is, but it's just only a minute too long for it. Like 22 weeks. This shit. As well. And Hook, I have to say, I don't know if he seems to be regressing at times. It's times where he just looks completely not at the races. I'm fearful of that Big Bill match. Now, I like Big Bill. There's a bloke who, God's sakes, if it had been him versus Hook, I'd have been fine with it. But this shouldn't be on the main card. This is one of those times where you go, Jericho shouldn't be on there. We have this amount of time. This is the kick out time at Wembley, and they're fucking strict about that stuff. Do we need this match on there? No. Is it
as late as possible on the card so it gets cut for time? You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's not something good that gets cut for time. Put it second last, Tony. And I go, curfew. Sorry, got to cut it.
Fucker will be petitioning it for it to be the opener, won't he?
He probably will. Well, from there we go into the big matches of the night. The big four that I would say have been built up. Like, and again, it was a constant talking point.
Big
for us,
five,
other
Ben.
podcasts
Big five.
like us. Big five,
Yes.
big talk for podcasts like us. As to, I'm trying to figure out what I've missed here. 1, 2, 3, 4, sure. We'll get there.
There's definitely 5 here.
Oh, there is. Sorry,
Yeah.
there is. I've missed before we get to the big 4. I'll count it as far as the big 5 now. I suppose as a technicality, of course. The coffin match for the TNT Championship. That's in the big matches. To be fair, it's got in common with the top 4 matches of the show. Has been built up. I think we always talk about AEW as a structured company. You know, it never always feels like they've got a mid card or they've got a sense of progression. Like, I like this as a mid card match that's been
Upper
built
mid-card,
up.
I'd say,
Had a
Ben,
good
this,
promo segment. Yeah, upper mid card, absolutely. Darby and Darby Allin and Jack Perry. Jack Perry's going to be over like fuck in Wembley, I think. Especially if he plays off. Even if there'll be a throwaway line about real glass or something daft like that. Genuinely over young heel.
Yeah.
Genuinely massively over, young babyface. We haven't talked about the All In documentary that came out. It was all right. It was 10 minutes long. There's our discussion on it. But I did enjoy some of the bits there that showed like Sting and showed Darby, and obviously we heard the story this week about Sting saying a prayer for Darby on Punk's debut. That was always nice. It just feels like the ever present babyface of AEW does Darby Allin. So yeah, I like this on the card. Maybe there's a couple too many gimmick matches or multi-person / mess around matches on the show, but a coffin match for the TNT title kind of fixed the big occasion, doesn't it? And Darby's going to be going wild. I'm quite excited for this one.
Same here. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not like the biggest Jack Perry fan, but I think there's a couple of things that it'll be batshit. I'm hoping that in some way Cry Me a River by Justin Timberlake is featured as a song at some stage. Like, even if it just leads into Jack Perry's song.
Just the intro to his music, JP, and then it cut into his music. Be great. That.
Oh, they're gonna do. Did you see him putting the belt? Did you see him like making his own black belt?
Yeah.
Not like that.
Brilliant.
It's impressive. Proper YouTube fodder that wasn't it? It's the type of thing. The algorithm had shown me like 15 minutes of like AMSR and somebody putting together like doing like hard work type of thing. All the sounds of the drills and all of that. It's great. Yeah, good little Instagram reel.
I think this will be a really fun match. I think there'll be the usual Darby Allin batshit stuff, which is absolutely fine. There'll be obviously references to real glass and all the rest of it. It'll be kind of bonkers. Sting will come out of one of the coffins, or Sting will come out of the coffin. I think so. I think that will be the big kind of. I think that'll be the big. Sorry.
Now I'm expecting it now. Now I'm going to be let down. Oh, that'd be so fucking cool. They should so do that, shouldn't they? If I see a giant lad that looks like Sting or 2 giant lads that look like Sting around Wembley Way on Friday morning, I'm going to know this is coming now. Oh, they got to do that. They got to do it.
And it would be fucking awesome, wouldn't it, for that? And it would bring things around. Like, you can, it's an easy way for Jack Perry to lose the title as well, because it's losing without losing. It's not pinfall submission. He can claim bullshit and all the rest of it, and that's absolutely fine. And like you say, it's just that if you've got a mid-card title, then that's where you put your mid-carders, and you're wanting to get them to the next level. It's a perfect kind of placement for these guys to be there. And I'm probably more forgiving of the fact that this is another gimmick match on the card. Pardon me. I'm all right with this being on the card. Like for in a just because of the spectacle of what I expect from it. Like I've already built up higher expectations for this than what I'd originally expected. There's not everything I've loved about the build, like the ending of Blood and Guts and stuff like that, but I'm willing to forgive it. And also I thought that the Jack, I don't know if I mentioned this in the Dynamite review. I just loved it when Darby Allin came out and Dynamite and just fucking Jack Perry just ran at him and delivered that knee. I thought that was just like a great kind of like spot. And I think these two are going to go out there with the intention of like, we can really steal a bit of the show here. There's that gap to kind of make like a big impression for this. And I think these two will end up rising to it as well. And there's not, unless they decide to have a scrap backstage beforehand. Like I think this could be like, I'm almost expecting this to be like the sleeper of the night. I don't know if that's a popular thing to say, but that's where I stand.
Yeah, I'm in agreement, JP. I'm looking forward to this one a lot, and I know like they probably have had matches in the past, but with them both being baby faces for a long time, it feels like a fresh match to me anyway, especially with Perry being the heel. So yeah, and I think he's been great as a heel. What I've seen of him in his promos and stuff, the way he just carries himself as well. I think he's done well in this new role. But yeah, fully agree with you, JP. Think this will be nuts, and I think they'll go out to steal the show, and they could definitely. Like, really looking forward to this one.
For sure. Well, there we go. We're excited now. There we go. We're positive, lads. I'll just clip this bit when I put this on YouTube. It'll just become then. We'll have one angry video. We'll like reel some frowny and one thumbs up happy video. There we go. Or two Tony Khan vote faces. Weird I didn't get an invite to the press, didn't it? How strange. Anyway, them money wank dogs, JP. Anyway, top 4. AEW American, we're still paying for that. AEW American Championship, Will Ospreay versus MJF. Talking about the Big 4. Great starting point when you're talking about the Big 4 matches. Because I can honestly say a lot of this build hasn't been for me. Even when I was there in Rev Pro, I was like, oh, MJF's doing the Hulk Hogan act. You'd have loved it, Matt. You'd have been bang into it. But it was just a bit like too tongue-in-cheek and cheesy for me. And it's been just a bit all over the place tonally and a bit like, are the Americans supposed to be cheering MJF, booing MJF? Are they leaning very heavily on the possibility we're going to blue the horrible American as we watch an American wrestling company based with 95% Americans, apparently. You know, the jingoism heat's going to be a big thing in Wembley Stadium. But it's still a big match between two headline acts in AEW. And I think, again, maybe box ticket exercise, JP. It is absolutely important that Will Ospreay had a big match on this show. Important that MJF had a big match on this show. Might not have been for me, but it's a big match that's been built up in the given time. So mostly boxes tick there, isn't it? Maybe our feelings aside on some of the creative we can get to. Does feel, I think, like a big match.
It does. I mean, if you want to think about if Will Ospreay's in there with one of the genuine main eventers of the company, he is in MJF. Like, that can't be argued or disputed. I was more fearful when it was like, oh, are you going to do MJF Daniel Garcia at Wembley? And it's like, well, what the fuck is Ospreay going to do? At that point, I was like, I'm not sure about this because it just feels like you're wasting Will Ospreay. If you're not having him in the main event, then in this, which is kind of like your men's semi-main, then that's fine because it's still a big focus match with big introductions that will be given the kind of proper amount of time. How much time this goes for, I don't know, because the problem is they've gone 59 minutes.
I was going to mention
before.
That. Like, it's a weird one for me, that, JP.
You're thinking, okay, well, what do you do? Like, how do you have this go like kind of like half an hour? I mean, unless you're wanting to do like a half an hour sprint, which would be kind of crazy for them to do as well.
It'll be a sprint, this.
Result-wise, you put the belt on Ospreay. That's the end of it. That shouldn't even be really disputed. And I think any other arguments about that's not what you should be doing. It's like, well, surely you're going to want MJF hunting down Bryan Danielson for the world title after this. That's the kind of role that you're really paying him for, is that type. You know, you want him in that top line mix, not fucking around with a secondary belt. But it is going to have the stature. I think that's the important thing on this card. It's going to have that. And like you, Benno, I've not loved all the elements to this build. I mean, we at time of recording, we don't know what the face-to-face stuff is like. I mean, and how that necessarily would have gone down. But I think this one, it's how it delivers as a match, because I was with you guys, and I remember like I was away and listening to you guys when you'd reviewed the match as well. And there was a lot of people talking about like, greatest match in Dynamite history and everything else. It was just like, too fucking long. It's too fucking long. You didn't need to do this. Like, you didn't need to have a 59-minute match between the two to lead to them. And I wasn't certain that it should be a match they should have done anyway in the first place. But I think it'll deliver. I think Ospreay, he doesn't need motivation. He doesn't need motivation if he's wrestling in front of 200 people, so let alone 50,000 at Wembley. He's going to be going absolutely batshit. He is going to be massively over to that audience. I expect, you see all the United Empire shirts will be coming out again and everything else. I think this is going to end up being a really good match, but some part of it also depends on what version of MJF we get. Are we going to be getting endless snark and bullshit? Because that's the thing I get slightly worried about for this, and it can end up taking away and detracting from matches rather than something that should be just all out fucking like war between the two, and Ospreay overcoming the odds to win back the title on home turf.
You've been into the build, Matt?
Yeah, what I've seen, Ben, it's one of them. Like the match for me, like, and I'm not even necessarily on about the length, but obviously that plays into it as well. It's like I'm with JP slightly. I don't think you should have done it on TV first, but then at the same time, I respect that it's a different
weird way to get there.
To do it. It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And MJF, I mean, once again, I'm always, I do like him still. You know,
last year's Wembley headliner, mate. He put 80,000 in them seats, you know.
This is it.
And I was top, he wouldn't have this problem this year.
Him and Adam Cole wasn't the worst for me. You know what I mean? I will go on record and say
I'll draw Taylor Swift, them too.
But this new gimmick, Ben, I'm with you on it. I'm not getting it at all, to be fair. It's like hammering home. And Ospreay was over so much. And I get MJF's got his fans and he'll get a bit of a pop when his music hits. Either way, you'll get a good reaction. But Ospreay was so over last year. He doesn't need to be like hammed home that we're going to achieve from this year. Do you know what I mean? I just don't get that at all. So, yeah. But as you just said, it's going to deliver on the night. MJF will want to try, as we always say all the time, will want to keep up with Ospreay. He want, as much as he says he doesn't want these 5 stars, he loves the adulation, doesn't he, as well? So he's going to try and keep up with them. And it will be, it's a big match. MJF, big star, though, guys. He's a big star.
It was our big takeaway last year. Like, how, we laughed how over the MJF Adam Cole thing was. How over Ospreay was, in there.
Oh, mate, honestly.
Unsigned talent as well. He didn't work for AEW.
Ridiculous.
Like, crazy that to think about last year. And we were all like, oh my God, he's so over. And that's the argument for, unless it's Hangman, Ospreay's the other guy who you might argue should be in the title match on this show.
I thought that was a given.
Yeah, I did too. We talked like 3-4 months ago. It's all we'd really talked about. Like, well, Ospreay's going to be wrestling for the title.
Yeah.
What's everyone else going to be doing? It's a bit like last year. Kenny Omega's going to be in a big singles match. What's everyone else going to be doing? That was the other thing that popped out when I watched that documentary. I was like, what did Kenny do last? Oh yeah, I remember. Oh well, maybe we'll get him on All In Wembley 2026. But yeah, I think this will be a crowd pleaser on the night, and yeah, like I said, I've said all I can say about this USA versus UK thing. It absolutely is categorically not for me, but 2 overstars, and I think it'll be fun on the night. And yeah, Ospreay over, I guess. Going from there. Again, maybe a victim of the long build. Britt Baker versus Mercedes Moné for the TBS title we've got here. I think my interest is less than when they announced the match. I think it's dawned on me. Like, one, the physical interaction they've had so far hasn't really made it look like there's much chemistry there. 2, I just think, whether it's right or wrong, there's just a black cloud around Britt Baker, isn't there? She's supposed to be this big championing babyface, and Mercedes is the big champion heel, and it should be as straightforward as that. The 2 biggest stars, most likely, in the AEW's women division coming to clash, although the next match might argue that point. But yeah, I think the more they've done on TV, the less I'm into it. Let's just get them in the ring now, I think, with these 2. But again, inarguably a big match, and Wembley, Wembley worthy, I would say, this one, Britt Baker and Mercedes Moné.
Yeah, this has been, like you said, when they had that first interaction, and you were like, "Oh, this is kind of fucking cool." Like you're getting round to having what was, and again, it completely overshadowed the Women's World Championship match at that point in time. I think in the ring it's going to be shit. I think honestly, I have no expectations for how this is going to end up delivering as a match. I think you're going to get your entrance, you're going to get your pop, and then it's what happens when it's like in the ring. And I think I could see this being something we talk about, like, and it would add to what has often been a narrative around Mercedes Moné matches about Mercedes Moné's run in AEW of being frankly lackluster and a bit of a disappointment. I mean, I say a bit of a disappointment, because that's how I feel about this. I was looking forward to it there in week 1, and then as the weeks have gone on, I've gone, oh God, I've looked forward to it less and less and less. And like you say, there's that black cloud over Britt Baker. Then you start to possibly, in my case, overthink it and go, well, how's that going to affect the booking? Are they going to want to keep the title on Mercedes Moné, which is what part of me thinks that they're going to end up doing? And because in some ways, who should be the person to beat her? It should be Willow. That's really the kind of like the storyline you want to get to there. Will Mercedes Moné stomach after that awful Cardiff breakfast. Will that last the course? Who can tell? At that stage, I just think this is the problem is they're going to have a match in ring. Britt Baker has never been good in ring. She's been like passable at points and perfectly fine, but really no more than that. And I don't have the expectation that somehow this is going to deliver some like bigger, like what feels like a much more like momentous match in there as what it should be. It should be, this is effectively like your Invader and Mercedes Moné coming into the company and Britt Baker being an AEW original. It's almost like that. I mean, that awful feud, obviously, they had with the originals versus like the Invaders. But in some ways, this is like an encapsulation of that. And I, as the weeks have gone on, I've looked forward to it less and less. And I'm just at the point where I'm thinking Mercedes Moné is going to win. And we're going to end up talking about going, Jesus, what a bust this was.
Like I always used the 4 horsewomen shout, don't I, guys? Always had Moné as the second best, but I think and Becky Lynch hasn't wrestled for months. I think she's the bottom of the list now. Like I can't believe how much what I've seen of her. She's been such a disappointment.
I don't know we've seen enough of her in AEW.
Benno, but what we have seen's been terrible. Like really, really bad. Like a finisher, a finisher is one of the worst I've ever seen. She can't hit it. She can't talk. Like Camille's better on the mic, and Camille's only learned to wrestle and talk about 4 years ago. Let's be honest about it. Like honestly, it's been such a and like you're wanting her to come into this big event and show that she's like this great wrestler and this great all-round star. Exactly. So the pressure is on her though, guys. Here, and I'm not saying she won't deliver, but the pressure's on, and it depends if Britt's gonna, as JP said there, like Britt's a big star. She's a big star. She is, but she gets by on that. And once again, if Moné's wanting this type of match that like she wants and Britt can't do,
it could work in a stadium. This could either, honestly, I don't know if this is
either way in it. No middle ground, Benno.
It's either going to be rotten, or it's going to be like, it was a big stadium. They were both over it, Cardiff. It's going to be one of the two in it. Probably more likely the former. I think the British crowd will be on Brit too. I think there'll be chance, which isn't ideal. But based on Rev Pro, it wouldn't shock me. But it could go either way. I presume a Brit win. I think.
No, I don't think. No. I think Moné goes over here. Definitely, I don't think you'll have. I think so. Yeah, I think Moné wins this because
I'll be the outlier then. You might have taught me to change my mind, but no, I'll stick with it, Britt. So.
Because I think in the other match we're going to get a new champion, and this is where, like as you say, they should be the two biggest stars in the women's division, but it's been eclipsed without. I'll go into it in a minute when we announce the match. It's been eclipsed with the angle, hasn't it? It really has.
Well. If you want to know the betting odds on this, and they always tell you a story. Mercedes Moné 20-1 on, Britt Baker 7-1.
There you go.
And I think that tells it. And I almost think I'm also wondering, and maybe this is me wanting to take the piss and stir the pot. Have Britt Baker lose and then have Jamie Hayter come out, not acknowledge Britt Baker and have her almost do a challenge then.
Like a punishment type thing of losing as well. Maybe it could be that if you believe all the stories.
Makes you wonder.
So, yeah,
the moment.
It does.
Well, you mentioned it, Matty. Going from there to the second to last match we're going to talk. AEW Women's World Title, which is Timeless Toni Storm versus Mariah May. You know what? For an act I don't really like in the Toni Storm thing, and all of the negative, I think I probably said over the last couple of years. We do say positive things sometimes, honestly. I'll say a positive thing. I think this feud's been mostly perfect. There's been weeks where I've gone, that's why I say mostly, specifically the week after the turn, I think they really fucked it.
That was bad.
Put Mariah in the ring, dressed up as Toni and all of that stuff. And I think they've learned the lesson because most of her segments, especially the talk-on ones, have been post-produced, haven't they? They've been in videos.
So good as well, Benno.
Stage sit-downs. They've been great. And that's what you should do, It's, Lucha Underground, shooting a cool promo with very different thing, but with Penta, making, finding a creative way to go, okay, this guy doesn't speak English. Let's do it this way. Here's someone who can't talk. Let's do the Paul Heyman thing and, accentuate the strengths, and they've absolutely done that in the week since. They've driven up the the grudge part of this, where again maybe it's felt a bit repetitive, but that's the part of. There's always going to be positive and negatives to anything. The positive to doing the turn early was the match was established early and they had time to build it up. The negative was maybe had too much time to build it up, and you've got weeks of episodic television to fill just the nature of the beast, with wrestling. TV, as our friend Sidrick will often say. So, a couple of those weeks haven't been ideal, but does it feel like Tony wants to kill Mariah May? Absolutely. Does it feel like Mariah May's on the roundup and is this weird, evil villain in the story that you want to see beaten despite being a challenger? Absolutely, yes. And with both of these two's links to the UK, specifically Mariah May, but Toni Storm's basically one of us. She was over here since she was daft young, wasn't she? Like 17, doing, I think the first time I saw her in Preston Flag Market on a PCW show that you were in, Matty, is the Dudley Boys came out on a tank in PCW in about 20. I want to say 16. I don't know if it can be that early for Toni. I think she was about 12 at that point. But whatever it was,
parental duty saying, no, you're not going off to England to work at 16. That's mental.
Live with a nan in Birkenhead, mate. Links to Merseyside as well, Matty, as well.
Oh.
She's proper British. She is. She's British through and through. Toni Storm. That's where she came up. That's cool about it too. It's going to be massively over this, and yeah, they've done a great job, and I think the match will be good too. So yeah, win-win.
I've said this, that it peaked with that angle, but when the angle's that good and one of the all-timers, that angle was so fucking good. Incredible stuff. It really was. It's an all-timer, so you forgive it. That, like, as you say, it established the match. It's got to establish May as this, like, as you say, violent, creepy heel going in. And that was rotten. That week after was really bad. But the stuff since, Benno, as you say, them videos have been really fucking good. So they've reheated it for me again more. And the heat's just going to be there. Like, it doesn't need anything else. The match is going to be brilliant. It's built in. It's a proper match. One of probably the top 2 or 3 I'm looking forward to on the night. It's going to be so good. Like, really can't speak highly enough of this.
I'm probably falling down because I've not been the biggest fan of the Toni Storm character. However, that angle was incredible. And I think this is one of the matches where you spoke about it with the Mercedes Moné Britt Baker match, where you think that the stadium aspect is the thing that can end up carrying this. I think that's going to be the thing that completely carries it, because this isn't a match I'm going to be watching necessarily expecting great work, great things from them, because I just don't think that they're both kind of up to that.
Story, this JP. This is a proper
pure story.
Match, mate. It is.
And again, if I'm being serious, this is possibly the point where Jamie Hayter could end up making an appearance again. Like, it would be possibly the one that would maybe make a bit more, putting her into that kind of like, particularly if Mariah May wins, which I should go straight to the bookie. She's 7-1 on. And Toni Storm is 4-1 for this.
Standard,
so,
for me,
And I thought that they might do that switch, that switch over here. You've got the Mina Shirakawa element as well. That's going to be obviously played into it. It's going to be pure story, but it's going to be a story that the crowd are really engaged with. And it's a lot more. It feels like Wrestling 101, which sometimes in AEW, when they think about weird ways that they get to certain matches. This one hasn't been. This one has very much followed kind of like, to a certain degree, like kind of like textbook wrestling storytelling, except we didn't see when the heel turn was going to happen, and it sort of came as that surprise. So I'm going to look forward to it, but I'll probably be one of the people who'll be slightly more detached than everyone else. Who'll be a lot more into it than I will. But that doesn't mean it's not going to work, because I still think it'll work.
Apparently, it was 2014 when I saw Toni Storm at Preston Flag Market. That's all there. It's a decade ago. What a great full circle moment for me and Toni, seeing the great Preston Flag Market opposite the Nando's, and now seeing her there.
Seen in the Crazy House as well, Ben. Remember?
Oh yeah, I've seen her there too. But yeah, overwhelmingly, I'm positive on this one, and there's always the joke. I think there's a upper limit on Toni Storm matches. I think the crowd's going to carry it, and the story's going to carry it, and Brian May did I say he's going to carry it. So yeah, I like it. Good match, and yeah, expecting the Mariah May win. I think we'll probably get there. Which takes us to the main event of All In, and one I think we've overall been split on. The final countdown, as the graphic says, which Tony Khan couldn't indicate anymore. I think we're getting the song. We're all gonna be devastated if it doesn't happen now, but I'm pretty sure we're getting the song. There's an intro or an outro, maybe. Title versus career. Swerve Strickland versus Bryan Danielson to headline stuff. Yeah, don't know where to go on this one first. Is Bryan going to retire? Is that the question?
No, he's not.
Is that the answer?
No, Jan. The minute this match got announced, and I'll eat it. If I'm on next week, I will eat shit, Benno. Bryan Danielson, as I call him, Daniel Bryan, is not going to lose a main event match at Wembley Stadium. He's going to win this world title and have that last run. 100%. Like, and don't get me wrong, though, at the same time, there'll be a near fall in this match where I'm like, it's over. His career's over. But I just can't see it. I just can't see. I can see that. I don't know. If Brian wins, is it clean? Do you have Hangman come in and cost Swerve where Brian doesn't see it? There's a lot of things you can do with this. But for me, there's not a chance in hell that Swerve wins this match. On record and saying it.
It's funny this because I think, as we said earlier, I think Ospreay made logical sense and would be a better match with Swerve. I think Hangman would be a more heated match with Swerve. Like, goes without saying. Best story in wrestling, best feud in wrestling, 100%. But the best match for Wembley, when you picture it, and I keep looking behind JP, like the Wembley setup there, and, imagine Taylor Swift crying in the audience's final countdown plays. I'm sure she's a big fan of the song as well. But, like, for a big stadium, they've learned something here. Tony Khan learned from Revolution and the Sting retirement what a big fucking deal that was, and how memorable it was, and what a great moment in AEW history that was. A big fucking stadium who are going to be living and dying on Bryan Danielson potentially retiring, whether it's a work or not, or winning the world title. Like, it's probably actually the perfect match for Wembley.
Oh, again, genius, Benno. Putting that caveat in is genius, because I don't buy it. But I say on the night I probably will with an ear fall. But
it's been uneven the way they've told the story too.
Exactly.
Like, it's like, is it a grudge feud?
Where can I shoot? Brilliant.
Yeah, all of that.
Like, ready for that, Khan.
It's not been. Do I even believe? You said believe Brian about the retirement. Do I believe him that he wants to be world champion? I always say it. No, I don't. And that might be like the Britt Baker thing. I'm just paying too much attention to the real news, or I've read too many interviews with him over the years where he's just going, I can't be arsed. Just want to go out there with the Blackpool Combat Club and have a bit of a laugh and wrestle the way I want to. Like, it's. I don't actually believe he wants to be world champion. But once that bell rings and the final countdown is played, and we floods of tears, and everyone is there with this, it's gonna be. Everyone's gonna come out of this going, that was the right move. That was the match you do at Wembley. And I guess the reason maybe some of the other booking has been pushed aside is, I suppose, there's a possibility it's because it is actually Brian's last stand. He loves work and a work. Does Brian? Maybe the work is the work, and he actually is retiring, and we just don't believe it because it's Boy You Cry Wolf. That could be the genius behind this as well. But yeah, I don't know about you, JP, but I genuinely think this will be an all-time classic moment in wrestling, whichever way it goes in the building, in the stadium.
I think on a lot of levels this will end up delivering. If there is a match of the night you're going to pick, it's this one. Why? Because it's Bryan Danielson, and you've got Final Countdown playing, and it seems that, like, a lot of the publicity of stuff that I've seen, like, kind of seeping over here, like things like Snack Wars, the BBC radio interview, has been Danielson talking about the end of his career. The fact his family's all going to be there as well. You're going to have that moment of him doing the yes chants in the ring alongside his kids and Brie Bella as well at the same time. They're the things that I kind of expect to see happening. And also the booking coming out of this. They've already announced that they're going to be doing Swerve Hangman. It fits better into the storyline if you can have All Out. You've got a world title match, which will be a match with Danielson versus whoever, and then you've got this really heated undercard match where you've got Hangman costing Swerve the title, then perhaps going past Swerve and then winning the title off Danielson as well, and doing like a brutal beatdown as well. There's ways of it seems to fit too perfectly, and it's like you say, at the time, initially it was like, well, Ospreay has to headline. And then it's like, well, if Swerve's champion, then it has to be Hangman Page. They're the things that make sense. And you go, well, actually, no, this makes sense. Why? Because you're going to finish the night. You've got the guy who's going to retire. And like you say, you're going to have all the yes chants going on. You'll have the fireworks. You'll have Final Countdown playing as well. And you paid enough fucking money for the song. You might as well get your use out of it at Wembley. I think it's going to tick the boxes. And again, to go back to the bookies odds for this, Danielson's 3-1 on, Swerve 2-1, which is pretty close, which suggests that there is, there's that kind of like, and he'll sow that seed of doubt. We will end up believing at some point, oh my God, he's going to end up losing this. And they'll do stuff, and there'll be a bit of bells and whistles, which will be weird because last year, MJF Adam Cole, it was like we were waiting for bells and whistles. That never happened. And we were waiting for like, oh, there's going to be the big turn. This is where it's going to happen. And it never delivered on that. Whereas I think on this one, we're going to end up seeing Hangman basically costing Swerve the title. And so it heats up that feud as well, because it's de facto face, isn't it? And I think it just seems that Danielson winning is the thing that you want to do, and it finishes the show on this kind of like wonderful moment where it's the celebration of Bryan Danielson, this brilliant wrestler who's in his last year. And there was a stat that he'd said he's like lost like his last 19 championship matches or something daft along those lines that he's been in, because that's Bryan Danielson for you, like you said a minute ago, Benno. So for me, it's Danielson all the way. I'm expecting it. I'm expecting it to be great though, like in that, and I'm fine with it. But they will. He's so good. He will sow that seed of doubt that he will end up.
Come on, lads. I've put my neck on the line. Who's winning this match? Come on, who's winning? I want a prediction. Danielson. Benno.
Yeah. I'll be the outsider. I'm going to go Swerve, and he's worked the work into a sheep, brother. And Swerve wins. And he'll lie to us and he'll come back and wrestle anyway.
I was going to say, if he does retire, do you reckon he'll come back? He did say his neck, and that was really bad.
That's the problem, because I do believe him. You know, I don't believe wrestlers, and I shouldn't. Because again, he's a... What was that headline once? That Bryan Danielson, I love lying. Cody Rhodes taught me how fun it is to lie. I shouldn't believe him either.
Michael Oakey said that to me about wrestlers lying all the time as well.
It's what they do. It's what they do. Yeah, I'll be different. I'll go Swerve. I don't know why, but I feel it in my bones maybe a little bit. Maybe I'll just set myself up so I'm really happy when Bryan does win. Because I'd rather he didn't lose and retire. So,
yeah, I just can't see it, really.
There you go. There's a bit of doubt for you. I'll throw it in. I'll be the one.
I like it, though. I like it.
Whatever the number works out as. What's an overall excitement? I've gone through the card, lads. There we go. That's the full Wembley card. Wrapped up, unless they add something, which, again, wouldn't shock me coming out of Dynamite if Hangman versus Jeff ends up somewhere in the midst, or at least something for Hangman. I guess they could put them both in. People might know this by the time they're listening this far into the podcast. They both end up in the gauntlet and get announced for it or something. Maybe something like that.
To be fair, maybe it didn't sound like, but apart from Hook and Jericho, which you really cannot be arsed with, even the tag team title match, which it's stale, but I will pop when the Young Bucks music comes on. I know I will. I'll jump out my seat, but am I on the ladder match, the Casino Gauntlet, Sam, the Big Five, like we said. So even if Britt and Monet won't be the best match, it's going to be intriguing to see how and what happens in that from a work point of view in the crowd. So yeah, I can't wait, Ben. I think it's going to be just being there again. It's just going to be so good, isn't it? What we've all said all night. Yeah. Regardless, when that show starts at 4 p.m. with the fucking 2-hour pre-show, we're all going to
I get me notepad out and I'm counting all the empty seats, so that I can win on.
Was that from outside? Is it on your phone? In the pub next door. Is
there an app I can install? Figure that out. Look, there's going to be empty seats, folks. I'm afraid there is. Even Tate dealt with it. But anyway, let's move from there into the other. We'll get into what else is going on. Obviously, we're going on. Come see us. Nico's Bar at Hackney Bridge is going on as well. But the other big show of the weekend, of course, got to give some time, JP, to Rev Pro and their 12-year anniversary show, which is a packed out card now. I'd even forgotten about I think I knew the match was announced, but I hadn't seen a graphic until this week for Grizzled Young Veterans in there against Sunshine Machine. Nice little match with some grapple favourites and people who are big fans of the podcast. Outside of that, I'll run through the card and we can go through some our highlights and lowlights and what Matty's looking forward to most on this one, because I know that you're the fan that actually wants it Rev Pro, Matty, not us two moaners. But yeah, cracking 12-year anniversary card, Copperbox again. If you come into our live show right over the road, you'll be perfectly poised to head over to the 12-year anniversary show at the Copperbox. But we have announced this week Ricky Knight Jr. versus Josiah, which is the third match in their series. We've got Connor Mills versus Ethan Allen. We've got the Cutthroat Collective of Alex Windsor, Lizzie Evo, Mercedes Blaze, Nina Samuels, and Sapphire Reed against Derek Keitel, Kanji, Nightshade, Rio, and a mystery partner. Let's get into who we think that might be. Basically, hopefully, whoever Tony Khan's not using over the weekend. Donovan Dijak versus Gabriel Kidd.
No, he's on the card. Dijak, Benno.
Oh, that's a match that screams you, that, mate. Add that to your top list of expected matches this weekend. Rev Pro Undisputed British Cruiserweight title, 6-way scramble. Neon, again, screams you. El Fantasmo, Leon Slater, and Mystery Man again. Cameron Kai and Will Caven For the Rev Pro British Tag Team titles, Grizzled Young Veterans versus Sunshine Machine, as mentioned before. Tomohiro Ishii in the best match he'll have this weekend against JJ Gale is on there. Rev Pro disputed women's title, Dani Luna versus, as we talked about on the weekend show, gigantic addition to the card for Rev Pro, Mina Shirakawa, which tells you, and we didn't mention actually in the Tony Storm Mariah May preview. Sure, she'll have involvements in that match if she's over. A man we're going to talk about a bit more, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Hechicero in a bit of a dream match as far as technical wrestlers go. And in the main event, your mate and ours, JP, for the Rev Pro undisputed British heavyweight title. Of course, I'm talking about Luke Jacobs, but he's going to be facing Michael Oku for the Rev Pro Championship. Go on, Michael. That's a really good card, and it's a stack card, and it's a long card, but I don't know if that's a negative. What would you... There's nothing I'd trim from there. Every match feels earned. Every match has at least an element I'm interested in, whether it's the build to it or just the wrestlers in it when you come to like an Ishii versus JJ Gale match. That's a corker of a card they put together. I'd say that's a better card than last year.
I really think it is a better card than last year, partly because the thing that Rev Pro have done, and they've done so well between the 229, between some of the bigger shows as well, is establishing that mid and undercard and the women's division. So they're all in naturally just much better places than what they were a year ago. If there's probably people on this that I would lose, like Donovan Dijak, for example. That there'd be another use for Gabriel Kidd if you wanted to kind of... I could care less about seeing him twice in 2 weeks. But everything on here kind of has stakes. And I think that main event is just the good faith in having going, no, it's very tempting. Like last year, what headlined the show wasn't Michael Oku defending the title against Trent Seven in the storyline match that Matty loved. It was Will Ospreay versus Shingo in what was like a kind of like a lesser version of their much vaunted Best of the Super Junior final match. And instead what they're doing is they're going with, well, who are the two best young like British wrestlers that you're going to go with in the main event? We're going to go with them, Oku and Luke Jacobs. And it's not like it's Dani Luna, but we haven't got any women who can challenge for that, because guess what? There's 9 of them actively involved in another match that I expect to be the sort of arena-wide brawl for the way that that's set up as well, as it should be, given the way that they've built up the Cutthroat Collective. It's just that there has been, for the most part on this, there's been thought and consideration about where things go. And it feels like RKJ versus Zazoya. It's like, well, I know obviously the last match had that sort of fuck finish with Ricky Knight Jr., and they'll be wanting to make up for it as well. But it's also about pecking orders on the card. It's like JJ Gale is a better wrestler than when he wrestled Zack Sabre Jr. last year. So him against Ishii, you're hoping that
Luke Jacobs spot from last year.
It's the Luke Jacobs spot. And you're hoping that it puts him into that as well. But I also think as well, in terms of the tag team match, my prediction for this one would be that TK Cooper turns on Chuck Mambo, or Chuck Mambo turns on TK Cooper. One of the two. That will be happening after they lose that match, and that's the feud and the direction that they go in. But there's just so much on here that I'm thinking, oh, that's going to be a lot of fun. The scramble match, it will be...
Yeah,
it's got the component parts that you want a card to have, don't you? You've got like your big flippy match, you've got your storyline matches, you've got your younger wrestlers that you can throw yourself into. You've got like a couple of really big imports in there, and what a time to have Zack Sabre Jr. on the back of winning a G1, even if it is in an exhibition match against Hechicero.
That's going to feel like a homecoming. It's like when Ospreay first went to New Japan, or when he came a couple of times it happened, didn't he come back with the belts, or he'd won the New Japan Cup, or whatever, it'd be like a big homecoming, wouldn't it? That's going to feel like that. That's going to feel like that when he...
that match, though, screams Gareth more than anyone, doesn't it? Sabre versus Hechicero.
He's a drugs, mate.
Oh, mate, he'll be absolutely loving it. I'll be having to calm him down.
Well, what stands out for you, Matty, from the undercard? Maybe we should corner some time to talk the main event in a bit more detail, but what stands out for you from the card?
That tag team title match jumped out straight away to me. That'll be good. But the scramble match, I'm a sucker for matches like that, Ben. Just 6 guys in there hitting all the moves and spots. So don't know who the mystery man will be. Is that another AEW
Ewan says Leo Rush would make sense.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that. And again, we shouldn't say like it's a guarantee, when it comes to the the women's stuff, I just assumed, like, it just makes sense, doesn't it? I suppose it could be, one of the women over for the Eve show.
Sky Blue was last year, wasn't she?
Yeah.
She was
and that was a genuine surprise,
Yeah,
It felt
yeah.
a little bit like, come on, Tony, you can give them something better than Sky Blue. But they got something, didn't they? It feels like that relationship's on better standing now, or is more, I don't know, official.
As long as Dijak doesn't get on the mic, I don't mind seeing him versus Cape Kid, to be honest.
Thank you, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Mate.
So shut up.
I don't mind him, to be fair.
He should never talk. Never tweet. Neither should I either, but he shouldn't. Him and Gabe Kidd, though, you're going to love that. You're going to give that 5.
Yeah.
That'll go in the book. You'll start another book just to throw that in.
Probably will, won't I? But like, it looks like you say 10 matches, Ben. It looks like a proper stacked show. But I know we're going to build it up. But as JP alluded to there, I like the look of that main event as well, for exact reasons JP said that I was going to say. It looks like 2 homegrown wrestlers instead of flying someone in to put in the main event. And it makes sense, I'm guessing, in the story as well they've been telling. So fair play. That's like bold, but the right move for me. Brilliant.
I heard the setup tag was really good this weekend as well on our Discord. Yeah, I thought the main first. I'll give you some of my highlights afterwards. But that's going to be big time atmosphere. They can play into the rumor and innuendo from podcasts like ours and interviews like Steph's, that maybe Oku might be on his way out. That might make it more believable that Luke wins here. It's certainly believable anyway on its own merits, because
I think he'll win Jacobs.
Yeah, Luke Jacobs. That could be his moment if you were going to put him over in the Copperbox. Feels still. I don't know why it just feels soon, because I think of him like he's 12. He's a grown man now, as Luke Jacobs, isn't he, JP? It's time he left the house and got himself a job and got himself a title belt. So maybe it is more likely than not.
Here's my prediction: he doesn't win the title, and Michael Oku goes heel. That would be my prediction.
One, yeah.
I think this is the moment. If I was going to do that,
Oku being the beaten down babyface champion,
cheating to win. Involved. I'm going to take this title to AEW. He can be an absolute dick about it.
Summer of Oku. Summer of Ojmo.
Summer of Ojmo.
Summer of OJMO, whatever I used to say that.
But I would, and then if I was going to do a Luke Jacobs win, the place I ended up doing it, if you were going to pick a venue, it'd be Victoria Warehouse. Like, that would be just to have that as the big homecoming moment. It wouldn't have as many people as what you would get here, but that for me would be the direction that I think that there's a bit more juice in it, because it's also something we've not seen out of Oku, is Oku as heel. And I think even if he signs with AEW, there is a chance to use him in a different way before he goes. Kind of like, I think there's just a different dynamic of the character that you can get away with. And I think between him and Amira Blair, I think they could pull this off. I mean, this is stuff he's done in smaller London-based indies, as well as being there as a heel, and I think they can get away with it. You could even have.
Sounds like JP's been pitching this to him, dude. Matty, he said this before. Off
air,
he's giving Michael this pitch.
I was annoyed because I didn't.
This is
ask
Enfield no more all over again.
Wanting to turn fucking heel, mate. That was a great idea, and I will die on that hill to the day I die. Honestly, that's one I would always go with. But I think it would be you could even have Ethan Allen turning heel if you really wanted to kind of go down there. I think there's that kind of there's that Luke Jacobs coming back as like a real force of nature to end up winning the title. But there's a good argument for putting the belt on him as well. I think the main thing you're going to get is from a match quality perspective. I think it's going to be really fucking good. I think we're going to talk about it as one of the best matches of the weekend.
An all British main event of a gigantic show where I don't know. Obviously, we've had Mark on the Discord has been crunching the numbers, WrestleTick style, sees it past 3,000 at this point, and it seems like it'll still be going. I bet that exposure on Dynamite helped massively, and that was the gamble they took with doing the OKMJF match, and that might be fine as well if Oku is, like you say, turning or losing the belt, or they're going a different route. That makes fine too. Brilliant, love it as a main event, absolutely love it. If I was pushed, I think Oku retains. But I could see it going.
I think Jacobs wins.
I'm 60-40 on it. 60-40. Ewan says here in the chat, no better time to crown Luke. I can see that argument too. Close one. Going for all the outsiders here today.
But at least there's doubt. And I always think with wrestling, you just don't get doubt a lot of the times. It feels like this is the crowning moment of this person. But at least when you've got that doubt, that's when the stakes get raised. That's when the crowd involvement becomes better. And I think that's what we're going to find. And I'm just expecting it to be great on that one. I'm expecting, because these two are at a level where they are like the two best British like home-based wrestlers that we have in this country by a while.
Which is funny because I think Luke Jacobs, you just say that, has just taken Ricky Knight Jr.'s spot on in the company, really. Because you would have thought that might have been the match they would have a long time built to. But yeah, I'm saying that. I'll enjoy Ricky Knight Jr.'s Isaiah getting a proper go at it this time. You like Isaiah, Matty? Good luck. He's got a good look.
Yes.
He's like a proper indie wrestler, mate. You'll like him.
Okay.
Connor Mills, Ethan Allen, just to briefly say for me, Connor Mills, Ethan Allen, I'm looking forward to that. Felt heated at your call. Dijak Gabe Kidd isn't exactly for me, but I'll just be watching Matty for that one. 6-way scramble, great way to start the show. For me, the matches I'm most interested in, Danny Luna and Mina Shirakawa. Danny Luna's been fantastic, and Mina Shirakawa is not just, she isn't like somebody up a Rampage who Rev Pro are lucky to have. She's a featured act in AEW, and she's been a big part of their biggest story, and she's got her own inbuilt fan base. She'll have helped tickets, I would imagine. That's going to feel big time, and it's going to be a cracker match to go along with it. But yeah, Zack Sabre Jr. and Hetcher Zero. You say it's for Gareth, I'll be loving that. That's one for the, maybe the previous match is one for the dads. That one's definitely for the dads. I'll be looking forward to that. And I will, jokes aside, Grizzly Young Veterans get to see them at the Copperbox here with Sunshine Machine. That's going to feel like a proper tag team match. I'm a big fan of Sunshine Machine in ring as a team, and yeah, it'd be cool to see them, pay off that story and win the Rev Pro tag belt. So yeah.
Can we have a Gibbo promo?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we haven't had one proper one of them in a while.
No, we haven't, have we?
Could do with that. Yeah, love it though. Yeah, really good cards, really well put together, and could easily steal the weekend. I reckon Saturday, if you come into our live show, I imagine you're going to this as well, and I imagine you'll be knocking around. I'm sure we'll be having some beers afterwards, and I think we'll be knocking those beers back on Saturday night. Going, you know what? AEW got a tough task on their hands tomorrow to beat that. So can't wait. And you loved it last time,
yeah, definitely. Oh no, can't wait for it. Like it'll be on a high, obviously after our show as well. Hopefully, so it'll be even enhanced even more. And definitely a few Steve Wises after it. Then come on, that goes down saying that.
Real main.
We're going to of course, got to meet him after.
Yeah, there we go. Nico's bars will be, of course.
We won't have to worry about being up early on Sunday morning, will we?
No, we don't.
Well, I want to go to the What Culture live show, so we'll see. But I don't have to do anything, so I can be there hungover, and it's fine.
Yeah.
So I'm all right with that. See our mates over there. Can't wait. So brilliant. That's Saturday. JP, what else is going on this weekend? A lot is the answer, I think.
Absolute ton of stuff, and I have to give a shout out here to you and in the chat as well, who put together like a really great sort of spreadsheet about all of these, which is from Swapcast, which included like all of the travel details as well. Begins on Thursday. I won't go through all of the cards, and we've got Pro Wrestling Ceasefire, which isn't I've never heard of them before as a company, but that's running on the Thursday. Then on Friday, there's Riot Cabaret at the Clapham Grand. Then on the Saturday, you've got All Caps All Day, which is Attack, North and Hustle that are running the Garage, like old school Progress kind of venue there as well. But there's only 4 matches announced for it. It's finishing by 12:30. It feels like Mania weekend, where it's like you just fit in a couple of like each of the company has a couple of the matches, and I think it's going on until about 4:30. But people will be seeing us instead. E versus Tokyo Joshi Pro, who are up against.
You better be seeing us instead. Hey, listen, I heard talk of some of our listeners who might be going to that. I understand,
Well, I heard Arja Kong's going to fuck off this show and come and see us.
Come to
instead,
us.
Isn't she? Yeah,
should we
that's
book
what I
her?
heard.
Should we offer to pay double a fee just to get that certain fan base to come watch us?
I don't think she'll be tolerating any of our shit. I'll tell you for that one as well. And then obviously you got Rev Pro, and then on the Sunday there's Genesis Pro Wrestling that's running in Wembley at the Green Man Pub in there. My God, there's some names on here that I'm not sure if people don't. Cletus Cannonball, Keith Chaos, the Peckham Playboy Hakan, which I'm in.
Corrupts on there, Ben.
I was going to say, Young Gothic. What's going on here?
Laser
That's Dillinger on the show. Like, what's going
Johnny
on?
Storm, though, is on there as well, isn't he? I've just seen at the top there.
Hooked on Wrestling are doing a Wembley Box Park Brawl that's going on with Gene Money that I will be avoiding like the fucking plague as well.
Yeah.
EWE are doing a brave thing and running in Balham against All In.
I love that. How many times you hear? I think his voices always say that on the flagship. Like they should on WrestleMania weekend for the sickos who just don't like WWE. Someone should run and see what happens. I love that someone's doing that. There you go.
Cheap enough venue. And on Monday, there's
but they'll probably just run
the
it
show
anyway, won't they? And they've gone, we're not cancelling our show for AEW.
Yeah,
our family audience aren't asked about that.
There are other events that are also going on the Friday. There's Fozzy, who got moved to the O2 Academy Islington from the.
We didn't get moved for tickets, and it's not really moved. Still same complex, but it was technical, better room with a proper bar, all of that good stuff for everyone. Ours is an upgrade. That looks like a downgrade.
That looks like a downgrade, and I feel sorry for Swerve having to go through on this as well. There's also Nigel McGuinness's Magical Night in London at the famous Three Kings.
He's doing a magic show too.
Would you rather go to that or Fozzy? Is it Nigel all day long?
Someone
yeah.
I
would do. I used to like that pub. Famous Three Kings is where you went to back in the day where you wanted to watch games from all around the world on a big international weekend, because they had games from like Sweden and stuff, and you spend an entire day in a pub and you're absolutely hammered by the end of it as well. AEW are running an all-in London celebration at the Box Park as well on the Saturday. Then there's new times.
Alex Abrahantes on the graphic for that, so Alex Abrahantes fans, get yourself to the Box Park.
Well, I'll be avoiding that like the fucking plague then as well. Grado's doing a live show at the Garage as well. Hellfire are doing a night of rock, rap, and wrestling at the Dome in Tufnell Park. There's a Moonsault all-in fan party in there as well at the same time. Various pop-up shops. Dave Meltzer, Brian Alvarez are over. They're doing their live
this year. I feel like we did last year.
I think we did last year as well. Live in London too, now on a boat. You mentioned it already. What Culture, our friends over there, running live at Wembley-ish. Yep, on the Crystal Club in Wembley as well. There's another tailgate through Hooked on Wrestling, hosted by your mate Sam Bailey, and the Sweet Chin Disco that's running at the Crystal Club, that's featuring Max Caster and Prince Nana doing DJ sets.
Liam or Prince Nana? Come on, who's going to be the better DJ, Matt? It's going to be Liam.
Oh, Liam all day long. Better playlist for sure. It'd be so good. I can't wait for the decks. We need that picture with Liam with the headphones on, spinning the decks. We need to get that. Can't wait for it.
So that's everything that is going on this weekend for All In.
And I just say though, whatever anyone's doing, obviously come to our show, enjoy All In, enjoy Rev Pro, but whatever you guys are doing, have a great weekend, because it's going to be. I am so pumped, Benno. I can't wait for it.
I am too. Like honestly, I don't know if it's faint praise or not. It has stuck on. Like I feel like I was excited for like 10 weeks last year. this it's only hit me this week, but I'm like, I can't wait to get that train on Thursday night, check into our hotel at near Wembley, and just be there then for the weekend.
Exactly.
Be around Stratford and just. Yeah, see everyone and be in one place and be a bit more chilled on the Sunday this year, as you said, Matty, and taking the build to All In a bit more as well. A little walk down Wembley way, just sound great day. There we go. Lucky to have it. Our WrestleMania weekend.
We are.
That apparently we're now getting every couple of years. If that.
Could be the last one, lad. Saving it.
Arena shows, they'll take JP's advice, and we'll be gutted. But might be the right call. But yeah, outside of that, before we get out of here, the quick been a monster show. It sounds ridiculous because how many spotlights over years would we have led with it? But we couldn't leave with it. It wasn't the big story this week. I'm sorry if it makes us bad journalists and bad people covering wrestling. But the G1 final happened at the weekend, and with this late into the podcast, with this little time to talk about it. What do we say, JP? We can talk about it from a business point of view. We can talk about it from an entertainment point of view. Mm-hmm. I thought the was the right choice for the finals. Zack Sabre Jr. and Yota Tsuji. Actually, I talked a little bit about it on Saturday on True Heel Hits. That's my cover story. But like, as far as a match goes, it was great. It was the post match that was fantastic. Like, it was proper, like almost tear in my eye stuff. Seeing like Zack Sabre Jr. like run through laps around the ring and get in the crowd with the fucking trophy, like he's just won the FA Cup and he'd been driving home that it's coming home stuff, to the point where I was like, oh, that's a fun little meme, but it's not really happening, Zach. for it to actually happen was so cool. Whether it was their plan A is a question. And the fact that he's doing the title match not at Wrestle Kingdom maybe tells you maybe not, but King of Pro Wrestling will be his title shot. It felt big time. It felt cool. It felt like a nice reward for someone who's dedicated himself to New Japan all these years, and he said as much in his promo, putting over his trainers at Hammerlock afterwards, and putting over Agawa as well, and obviously his time in Noah. It was just an overall great. Maybe you got more on the match, JP, but it's just an overall great moment. I was dead at watching it in the morning on Sunday morning. I was like, put a proper smile on my face. Really nice scene.
I enjoyed the match. I thought the match was like really. It had drama. I wouldn't say it was like the greatest match like of the G1 this year, but I tell you what, it had is absolute drama. It had a crowd of 8,000, which is only down by 200. It had them in the palm of the hand.
Take that. No Okada, no Ospreay. You have that, wouldn't you?
Oh, there's things about the attendance stuff that I've hated. The kind of preconceived notions about this attendance is slightly down because such and such isn't on top. It's like New Japan at some point had to shit or get off the pot and go with different people. And do you know what? Zack Sabre Jr. versus Yota Tsuji is different. It's building up Tsuji for the future. He didn't lose anything from losing this final. It was the time for Zack Sabre Jr. to win it. It'd been something I'd said, I think, for the last couple of years. It's like, why not do it? He lives in Japan. He knows Japanese. We saw it in the post-match. He can cut that promo. He delivers in ring in a style that Japanese fans like. Absolutely. It ticks all of the boxes you'd want it to. And from a business perspective, last year's final was Naito versus Okada. And in a sort of rather stale retread of matches that they'd done before, this was fresh, it was different, and it will mean more the next time these two end up wrestling. Like, it felt like, oh no, this is only stage one of these two as well. And I think overall this G1 was like, I enjoyed the stuff I saw of it. I enjoyed so much more from last year's, just because there was different things going on and it felt fresh. Like, it felt like the big veteran in like, particularly in the B block, Goto's run. Takeshita had a fantastic G1 out of this, and it just made me think he was. Yeah, he was the MVP. But so many people, even David Finlay, who I'm not necessarily, I'm probably higher on him than you are, but I thought he had a good tournament. But ultimately, going with Zack, and I know I get the criticism of not doing that match at the Dome. I'd be looking to take that, and I've heard some stupid suggestions that the Dome, he should beat Zack at King of Pro Wrestling, because really what we want to see is Tetsuya Naito versus Hiromu Takahashi at the fuck off, L.I.J. Law, fuck off, it's done, it's fucking done, it was done 5 years ago, this is fucking bullshit. No, whatever your Weibo fucking fantasy, second match, fine, no time, fine, have the fucking match. Fucking bullshit. Absolutely, like, fucking hate that as well. Oh, they drew 200 more people in it. It doesn't mean everything's fucking great and good, but they made steps in the right direction for once. And I think it felt like this was the year we moved past fucking storylines from 2018, 2019, and we actually went into, dare I say it, new territory. And that's all I've wanted from New Japan. All I've wanted is just like, can we move past these people? Naito, for the sake of his own health, if you care anything about him, let him have a fucking rest. He's done everything he can fucking do. Jesus, wept.
I'm a New Japan headliner, as we say that about the way it never happens, does it?
And it needs to go there. But if like Zack should win that, and do you know what? I do a rematch of this. I do that at the Dome, and you could have Okada turning up. You can have Danielson turning up.
You buy the Yuya Uemura conspiracy theory? Maybe it's something to do with his points going wrong, and therefore Zack's winning here, and they'll circle around to that, and that'll be the match at Wrestle Kingdom. That pie in the sky. Feels like it probably is.
I think, given the reaction to this, and I think the general business success, if we want to go into the numbers of this, is that, like, and I think that's more the G1 selling it than anything else. But the crowd reactions to it is there's more from these two. And that Tsuji is like, and I wasn't sure at one point.
It was a good spot for him to be the loser. He didn't necessarily have to win.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought he did going in. And then having watched it, I was like, no, it was nice to give Zack the moment. And Yota Tsuji felt like he belongs in the final of the G1. And he gets elevated by that, doesn't he? And his performances this year. Because he's been the other MVP of the tournament outside of Takeshita, who I enjoyed most of this G1. It might not be the bell-to-bell matches necessarily to the level of Takeshita and maybe even Goto, who's probably in my other top three. Yota Tsuji consistently has been very entertaining in this G1 for me. And clearly the guy, and he's clearly the guy you go with. Yeah, so that would make sense actually. Yeah, you could do the rematch. It's just a weird way to go about it. Because the other thing we didn't really talk about when we talked, I suppose it's more New Japan adjacent than Rev Pro adjacent. Royal Quest 4, at the at Crystal Palace, your old haunt, literally. JP, Sunday, October the 20th. Obviously the day after Rev Pro's Global was. Yeah, I did just assume when Zack was like, I'm not going to take my title shot at Wrestle Kingdom. I'm not waiting until January 4th. I thought the following line was going to be, and I'm going to do it in Crystal Palace instead. But it was like, but I'm going to defend it in Crystal Palace. Which I guess could just be legitimately the plan, couldn't it? But yeah, a little bit different.
I think it'd be a good plan. I think it'd be an absolutely fine plan to do that. Have him win it at King of Pro Wrestling. Have him defend the title against whoever, I can't think of who beat him in the G1 round robin at some stage, but you could just have that as the standard title defense. It won't matter because it's Zack Sabre Jr. defending the IWGP title in the UK, so it's going to do well on that front anyway. I think I was just the sense of relief I felt from just seeing something new, different, and fresh, and that wasn't Tsuji is a member of LIJ. I'm sorry, going back onto this, but I never want to hear any other storylines involving that godforsaken faction ever again. They can go away like Chaos can, like Bullet Club can. Each and every one of those fucking factions, they can all piss off.
Evil and the lads on the other end. No, they can piss off too. That's the worst one. How's the torture? Jesus
wept.
We'll probably talk the fallout and what's happening next with Zack in subsequent weeks. It always happens. Last year, remember All In? Maybe it was like we reviewed All In. We just about had time for Copperbox. Like I think Terry Funk had died, hadn't he, that weekend? Had his meltdown. Bray Wyatt died, didn't he? There was so much going on. Something about this time of year. So much going on. But yeah, there we go. There's that. And for the last 30 seconds, WWE wrap up with Matty. New segments on the show.
We got 30 seconds, yeah.
Let's go.
Well, we got
this week in Fed Talk.
The relief I had when I seen Jacob Fatu turn back up on TV, guys, on SmackDown.
It was brilliant.
Nice. Not that, obviously, I'm not putting Solo down, but in a perfect storm as well. They done well for the 2 weeks of not being there. That like Roman come back, got all his heat and destroyed everyone. But then he needed a little beating at the same time, and I'm glad he got it. And yeah,
well, how'd you move to him needing backup and setting up war games?
Exactly.
I was worried they weren't going to do it. Not even worried. I was kind of enjoying him just smashing through Solo lads every week. But Triple H is the way storybook stuff. It makes sense. Beat down. He'll be gone for a few weeks. They can dust off that. Roman Reigns is on SmackDown tonight. Graphic that they love to bust that. It was with thoughts on a lot of this stuff. But when Jacob turned, it was a genuine surprise because again, I bought the story. I didn't know. Obviously, it didn't seem that it was that serious, the ankle injury, but it seemed like it was going to be a few more weeks. And there's been reports they were going to keep him away from Roman. He did. He came out of nowhere, and obviously using the boot as a weapon as well, like the legitimate medical boot, just made him see. It was like on the one hand, it was like, oh, I don't like looking at him like with a boot on. It looks a bit off because he's supposed to be this monster. Nah, it made it better because he was using it as a weapon. Like fuck,
because he's a wild man as well. He'd do it, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would do that, wouldn't he?
Added to him, yeah.
It was
but I did love JB.
Well executed, Jack.
I know there's a lot of bracelet and Ula Fala talk going around the wrestling industry at the minute.
Punk cares about bracelets again, that's the raw take this week.
But when Roman put that bloody Ula Fala on JP, it was like he was just overcome really, and I was like, come on. But then it got snatched away from him. So yes, we'll get that that proper visual again soon, mate. But just love that anyway. And Raw, Benno, I haven't caught up with Raw tonight because I've been
this year.
I've been busy. So well, that's you. You're the Raw man, but I know you've been busy as well today.
What's pretty much all of Raw. saw some of the.
Oh, have you?
I
Yeah.
caught up. I think I saw like the first 2 hours and then caught up with some highlights.
Sheamus and Pete Dunne, weren't it?
Sheamus and Pete Dunne's the one
yeah.
that was real. Sheamus has quietly turned into a really fun little
Sheamus
telly worker. Like he looked. Me, it was funny because on the best on Brit Red Soil, we were like, you don't really see like with Walton and Tim Thatcher that kind of physicality on WWE TV, and I was like, you kind of do when Sheamus is in there sometimes because he was fucking him, and it was again timely seeing Pete Dunne actually get something on Raw, even if it was in loss. I think there's a certain level for him now, unfortunately, WWE. But as a match,
What was
really
Orton and Kaiser like, Benno, as well? Was that good?
No, it continues to be good stuff. Yeah, it continues to be well built.
Okay.
Yeah, and then on the quiet, like it's the we'll have to talk about the Berlin pay-per-view. I'm looking forward to chatting it because looking good. Punk and doing a strap match. Bit of talk about that on the Discord today, and I didn't think the Raw segment was very good. Dragged on. Punk's go home line was terrible. He called himself Taylor Swift for men.
Yeah.
Which what? Like what? Isn't that Taylor Swift? As somebody said today. I was like, yeah, I think that's.
Let's talk about a tale of lots of broken relationships. Then there might be something in there.
Bizarre. Like, and someone was like, "Oh yeah, he's clearly been scripted." He hasn't. He thought that was good. He clearly. And again, I don't think this is new. I don't think his Collision promo material was absolutely all firing either. He's either read that on Twitter, like Triple H came out, didn't he? He loves a good Twitter scroll. Maybe that's all he talks about, scrolling Twitter. He's seen that somewhere and tried to use it in a promo. It wasn't good. But I don't know. WWE strap match. In my head, strap match with them two sounds like it'll be physical and cool. It's a WWE strap match though, isn't it? It's more about turning the lights on in the corners.
Oh, I hate that. They can't have them lights. They can't.
He got a lot of play last week on the news he was breaking, but I think he said on the WrestlePurist show that it seems like maybe Roman's got his way, and maybe him and Jacob or him and Solo ends up being the Hell in a Cell match, and Punk and Drew are doing the strap matches like a make good. Don't like that. Don't know if it's
just good to see the big fella's got proper rank there though, JP.
Doesn't care about what anyone else is doing, does he? What am I doing this week, brother?
That's what you proper stars do. You proper fucking legends.
Like Hulk Hogan in the 90s, yeah. Great role model, I don't know.
You fucking love Hogan as a TV fucking.
I did love the
yeah.
But it looks like a solid pay-per-view.
It is for a 5-match show. The 4 matches that have been announced already are big time matches, and then it's probably going to be a women's tag title match as well. That's the rumor. So that's a stack card. That's a very.
All right, you've had more than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I know. I took
all about All In this week. Come on, we're all about All In. We're flying the flag. Come on.
Yeah, so they'll get 25 seconds next week, because obviously next week's spotlight will be the big All In review as well as the Copperbox review. No week obviously with us doing this and us all traveling to Wembley, as I'm sure all you guys are. No weekend show formally this week, but I could see a Dynamite review popping in people's feeds. We always try and do something on the road, so maybe expect that at some point, as my potential co-host is probably watching this live and hasn't agreed to it yet. It's not you.
No, me and Gareth might record some guerrilla audio on the way down to him.
Did last time.
Yeah.
Did you? I don't remember that.
I'm just winding up just for his face, JP. Look. For video
it's not going on my feed. I don't know where you're going to put it. Like, you know.
We'll just
maybe someone else take it. Send it into Post Wrestling. Maybe John Wire post it. But yeah, we will of course over this weekend be doing the live shows. We plugged enough, and the audio of that will should be, as long as we can get it recorded in the building and no technical issues turn up. That'll be on people's feeds over the weekend as well. And yeah, we'll be back for Spotlight next week. Fun stuff. You're going to be with us, Matty, for the big All In review?
That depends if you make me.
Well, Gareth's not available, so I suppose I'll take it.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay, then that's one.
Speaking of which, thanks for doing the show tonight, mate.
Yeah, that's all right, mate.
Yeah.
Hope Gareth had a good match at the footy. Good match at the footy. Good night at the footy. But there we go. That's it. Anything else I'm missing, JP? Anything else to say before we get out of here? Obviously, check the Michael Oku interview out.
Yep.
What else does it say?
Everything other than that, we'll see you at Hackney Bridge. Bye.
Good night. See you later. Oh,